Welcome to the show. I don't know where Mike went. Maybe he'll come right back. But I'll go ahead and introduce our guest that just popped off real quick. He'll be back, Mike. And we have another guest, Belle. We'd like to welcome Belle. Would you like to say hello, Belle? Belle from TikTok. Woohoo!
Hi.
Hi, Belle. I don't know where Mike went, so you can stay on here and talk with me. We're on now on for YouTube. So our topic tonight was basically going to be what is going on post Roe v. Wade. What's going on? You can actually share. I would like for you to share with what's going on in the community where you are. How are you guys preparing for post Roe v. Wade, and like, what are you doing to help or prepare?
So I'm in um, this online community with Desiree D. Stevens, and there's a lot of activism in that. Jackie is the name of a girl who, or woman who's in this, and she really um, takes she has, I don't know how the different sections are in the community. It's almost like a Facebook, but with different groups within it. Um, and so she does, you know, she's really encouraged us and me and led me. And I've only been in it for maybe 6 weeks now,
Mhm.
in that actual community. But she's really on the front lines of this is how to use your voice, this is who to call, um, like, this is who you email, depending on what state. And then she even has scripts, just like typed up and ready for you to copy paste email, call, just read it to whoever you need to be calling. And so I've been really doing a whole lot of listening and following in that aspect. And then as far as what I've been hearing is right now it's looking pretty grim, because I'm a this white woman and I started deconstructing colonization and whiteness about like 6 years ago, maybe. And but individualism, I've been really, really putting an effort once I saw that that was a pillar in white supremacy and everything. And so breaking out of that, I joined that community, and then I've been seeing how important it is for you know, all of the people, the minorities, and if you're true, um, what is the other word for it's not
Ally.
ally, it's accomplice
Uh,
or accomplice, yeah. Uh, but yeah, is to join together and for us to be listening, learning, and being the help, being the ones behind the scenes and not being like doing the cosplay things that we're seeing and realizing that we're we really just don't know what we're doing. We're unqualified for it because y'all have been doing this for 400 years. I mean, for forever. And um, so trial and error has been done where you guys can see it from a mile away, like this doesn't work because of this, and then we react and we go, and then they're like, I'm just trying not to be the kid in the kitchen helping mom with the dishes, making a bigger mess right now because by trial and error, I've also seen where I have done that, and so I very much. Uh, it kind of feels like an apprenticeship almost, like I'm working beside and learning as I go. And it's, I mean, that's so in that they're very much saying right now what needs to be done within the minorities is for the Indigenous Children's Act to be stopped. Because right now, Roe versus Wade is, there are things that we're doing, like what you sent me last night. Um, where we can try, but the biggest thing now that we the people that took this blow, this big blow is, definitely a wake up call for others that have not woken up yet or don't even realize, you know. Um, and then putting someone else before me instead of reacting. Like, as bad as I want to use that white violence, as bad as I want to be reactive, where I need to do it is going and, pushing. I'm kind of nervous here. Um, but pushing for them and their freedom so their kids, they don't lose any more kids. So that, so there's no more bloodshed of innocent people, and that is laser for community is, we need to band together in this if we want to make any progress because that's just.
So, the women that are around you, because you sound like you. I mean, you like you were saying, you started deconstructing, your decolonizing your education 6 years ago.
I did when really strongly when Kaepernick started taking a knee,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was so mad. Everybody was so mad. And I was, I had white privilege, I had pretty privilege, I was a stay-at-home mom, I was blind. I lived inside the walls and did not see outside the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I saw everybody so mad, and then I just went through Facebook comments. And that was the first time, and it didn't even occur to me. That was the first time that I had really ever been outside of white communities. I didn't do a whole lot of traveling. I wasn't well read. Um, Education was very limited. Um, and I just saw a lot of upset people. Now, my sister is also, she is half black. And so when I'm listening to all these women, and she's also 9 years older than me and was more like my mother figure. So for me, so she was like raised in whiteness too. Our mom, we shouldn't say mom, she was white. And there was nobody else around her, just her. Like as far as like we didn't have any other black people who lived in the town, and um, so so for me to be reading this, uh, I was very connected because to me it was like that's who looked like my sister, who was. I mean, this is not. This wasn't being processed at the time as I was reading it, but looking back,
Right.
you know. Um, but so the trust was there for me, where I guess others don't get that trust. Like she was my stability in my life. Like that's how they was put on her. For me, um, I saw I where other people just saw angry and there was anger, like, um, but I saw upsetness. You know, that's I mean that's not good, but so I was listening and then I saw this part because I definitely saw all the white men veterans on my Facebook or my family just screaming on them, you know. And then I saw this one woman say, I bet none of these white women have even watched his interview. And then I was like, okay, you know, so and she had posted it and was like, if anybody cares. And I clicked on it and it was like 20 minutes and I listened to it. So this was my first introduction to realizing that there was any racism toward Black people at all, because my sister also, as I understand now, is white passing and has pretty privilege.
Hmm.
And so um, I'm watching what he's saying, and just to me, it makes sense. So then I just popped back on the Facebook and was like, it's okay, everybody. I have a solution. And then, you know, like played that and then boom, everybody got angry at me instantly. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like to me this is because I just said actually like I see all of his points are valid and I'm just like dumb and oblivious at the time, you know, like this makes sense. And they just started tearing into me, saying I was like terrorist, even understand like what all this means and like and my whole family all of a sudden like I felt like instantly hated me. And then I just you know, but something happened in me when I went to click on that link. It
Hmm.
was just very I had this fear of what if he's right? Because I know that when I see justice or injustice, I talk about it. And with how mad everybody was, I mean, I was like, I just had this like fear that I didn't recognize before of like, I couldn't even describe it back then, but Royal Star 6.0 on TikTok, he goes into, it's fascinating. He goes into, you know, there's PTSD, but there's also perpetual, uh, what is it, where you're the abuser, where your family and your bloodline has it's like PTSD, but where you're the one, and well, your ancestors are the ones who did the trauma,
Right.
who
Right.
caused the trauma.
Right.
Yeah. And then, so that didn't make sense to me. I felt that, and I was like, well, now I've got to know, you know? So I clicked the button, and like, I took the red pill back then, and then ever since then, and it really was like that. And I wish you could have been a fly on the wall when like I got to the point because every day has been like I have been living backwards my whole life. Like my whole reality is not even reality.
Right.
And uh, and then when I was reading that about the Matrix not even being written by a white man,
Hmm.
because I kept on thinking, I feel like I'm in the freaking Matrix.
Right.
I feel like I'm in the Matrix. And then when I found out what the Matrix was about and that they saw of her, I almost threw my phone across the room.
And
I don't know
basically
what it is.
you realize like while we're on like sci-fi, Rod Serling, the premise of and the entire concept of the Twilight Zone was because of Emmett Till's death.
I heard that on your YouTube last night,
Yeah.
and I cannot wait to go find. I do you know where I can find that out? Like, where do you watch
Oh,
Twilight
about
Zone?
Rod Serling. I have a art. I have the link. Let me see if I can pull it up because I saved it in the file. Hold on a second. But go ahead and talk while I'm looking up for looking this up.
No, you're good because there's so much that's been like written in, and I just as much sadness as there's been, that is another thing that just I wish that I could convey to people who just don't wake up is like I just also want to thank you and everybody else because if it were not for the joy and the celebration,
Hmm.
like I would not have made it far at all. Like uh, in all of this, but all of the all of the brilliant uh, BIPOC. I hesitate saying BIPOC
Yes,
because
yes, yes, yes.
in the community they're like, say black.
Now you know
That's what it,
it's actually up to debate. Like we're having a conversation within the BIPOC community about how we want. Like I don't know. That's like new under the circumstances. I don't think we should be arguing about titles and stuff like that. But basically, BIPOC it's like an umbrella term for Black, Indigenous, people of color. People of color are like anybody that's not white. So BIPOC to me covers all of that without having to
okay.
say each community. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. So if you're comfortable with it on your platform, I'll use BIPOC. So
BIPOC,
that's
yes,
cool then.
because basically,
Okay.
like you're an I consider like ally, like you're an ally, and BIPOC, like I said, is it's an umbrella term. Although when we like the BIPOC people that are debating the term BIPOC, there's still a lot of nuances within each community as to how
Mhm.
we identify under the umbrella of BIPOC. So, but that's like that's like a later date. So basically, BIPOC that's fine. BIPOC is fine. But I found the article here, and I think it was with the Smithsonian. This is on the Smithsonian Arts Culture, and it says if you're looking if you could pull up on YouTube, you can look at the screen on YouTube and see the what I'm showing here about Rod Serling's story.
Oh, okay.
You can mute it, but you can watch it on the
Okay.
screen. So can you see it?
Oh, sorry, I muted. I'm looking for it right now.
Oh, okay. So when you pull, let me see. I can actually send you a link to. Let me see here. Um,
And while we're waiting, I appreciate you saying that because I did, you know, I was in that community and then I ran into another woman on TikTok and she really asked if I would normalize not saying black but saying brown. And
mm,
then so I do understand that there is differences,
like
and
nuance,
I just
yeah.
yeah, want I want to honor
Right, right,
everybody.
and I still make mistakes too because, like I said, I've gotten used to one term, and then I'll see other BIPOC creators say, okay, well, I have a problem with this term because of, and I'm trying to be respectful of everybody. And then it's like, I'm thinking, okay, you guys are splintering off now. And we're supposed to be trying to unite, like our issues are almost the same. We have the same common, common enemy. So, bickering over a title is kind of counterproductive, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I
I mean,
just
like,
go
yeah,
from person to person because it's not my fight. Like I just um it's your platform, and I will
right. So
absolutely
like that's
respect
where I am too, because
it.
even I am in the community, and I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. So my head is like about to explode. So why are we splintering off here? It's like, okay, I get it. I get what they're saying, but the energy that we're spending on that needs to be directed on our common enemy, if that makes any sense. And I'm sure some BIPOC people will hear me say that, and they'll be like, "Well, you're da, 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 da," which I welcome. So if there's any BIPOC people that hear this program, and you want to call me out on it or explain to me the nuances, because I get confused, just like everybody else. I'm confused, so I want you to explain it to me. Leave it in the chat under the video, to the terms and how we're supposed to use it, because my energy is really on one focus, is dismantling the system and white supremacy. But
Yes,
so back to Rod
and then
Serling. He had an early run in with the censors, and he was trying to bring Emmett Till's story to television, and it forced him to get creative because they kept censoring him and they wouldn't let him do it. Of course, we know why. And so when Jet Magazine showed the photographs, it was like, because I remember seeing that as a little girl. I didn't understand everything that was going on, but I remember all that. Um, Rod Serling was a 30-year-old rising star in the golden age of dramatic television. He watched the events play out in the news about his death, and he believed firmly in the burgeoning medium's power, social justice. The writer's role is to be a minister of the public's conscience, Serling said. He must have a position, a point of view. He must see the arts as a vehicle of social criticism, and he must focus the issues of his time. And that's basically how the Twilight Zone started.
that's amazing. I always loved that show, so I was a kid, but I'm gonna probably check that out tonight because
Mm-hmm.
there seems to be so many hidden innuendos and things like that. Like you were talking about American Horror Story the last like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
five, 10 minutes, and I want to go back and I want to watch even. And I had said this before I finished your podcast. I said to my husband, I was like, I have got to go back and watch that last season because I feel like this is exactly what is going on right now. Like insane. And so I'm just wondering who the writers were on that too. Has been watching. I also heard something about Avatar. My daughter told me. I don't
Uh,
know if that's
oh yeah,
accurate or
Avatar.
not.
There was a discussion about Avatar and its proximity to what happened to the Native Americans. So if you look at Avatar and and
Oh,
and the and how that played out in Avatar was just like what they did to the Native Americans.
wow. Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch both of those. My daughter was like, I want to watch Avatar tonight. Like,
Yep.
yes, okay, so now I'll watch it with through those lenses. Thank you. That's cool.
And then when I was talking about the Night of Living Dead, like they George A. Romero, he was kind of like Rod Serling. They did not, the white companies, the TV and movie companies did not want him to be able to show Night of the Living Dead in the theaters because the black guy was the hero and the fact that he slapped the white woman. But like I said last night, he didn't slap the white woman to brutalize her. He slapped her to because she was in shock. She was exhibiting behaviors like white women are right now with Roe v. Wade. Oh
Yeah.
my God, oh my God, oh my God. She was freaking out like that. She was like an early Karen. Barbara. That was her
Yeah.
name, Barbara. So she's freaking out, and she was just getting out of hand, so he had to slap her. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason he slapped her. But then there's still a racial element with that George A. Romero wanted to get the point across because everybody died except the black man at the end. He was the only one that survived. But when he was getting ready to tell those guys, the sheriff and the police, the bounty hunters that were hunting zombies, he was getting ready to say, "I'm alive," but they just saw a dark figure in the window and they shot him in the head without giving him a chance. They shot an unarmed black man at the end of the movie, and he survived the entire movie. Everybody white died, but the black man survived, and he was getting ready to alert them and let them know he was alive, and they shot
Oh my god. What was
him.
that? The Night of the Living Dead?
Yes, the original, the 1968. That's the same year I was born. It came out the same year I was born.
You look good.
So they didn't want to play it in the regular theaters, but you guess what happened? Right, George A. Romero was like, "Okay, screw you guys. I'm going to show it at the midnight showing. I will show my movie at the midnight showing." And then guess what happened from there? It became a cult classic.
Oh my god. This is wild.
It
It is
became a
just,
cult classic, and they were trying to suppress his art and what he was trying to say and dealing with racism of the time in his movie. They tried to suppress him, and he said, "That's okay. I'll play it at midnight." And him doing that, it became a cult classic.
I don't have to go. I have a whole list now to watch. That, and I just want to say, like, that's crazy, that's wild, it's fascinating, but, like, it's, it's not stopped. And,
It hasn't. And those are supposed to be like subtle warnings. Those movies are supposed to be warnings. Look at what, and this is one of my favorite movies. And I actually, before my husband died, like 20 something years ago, I rewrote the script of Soylent Green. Soylent Green has never been remade yet. And I'm putting it out there now. Of course, somebody with money is going to probably remake it now, but I wanted to remake Soylent Green and think about Charlton Heston's role and then the whole script of Soylent Green. You remember Soylent Green?
no.
Oh, Soylent Green was like futuristic. It came out in 73. I believe it was 73, and it was a futuristic type dystopian world where the planet was hot, there was overpopulation, and there was no real food. Like people couldn't go to the grocery. They were all eating the synthetic food to survive, and it was called Soylent Green, and it was all controlled by one company that kind of what is it, Monsanto or whatever, the company that exists, Monsanto that makes that processed food and stuff. So it was kind of like a company like that, but it controlled the entire food supply, so people were starving. But then they had options in the movie where if people wanted to euthanize themselves, they could go to a facility and pay to get euthanized because it was just so much overpopulation. There was not enough room, not enough housing. There was not enough work. It kind of like what we're living through right now. Nobody had control over anything. There were people sleeping on steps because they were homeless. There was no place for them to live.
That kind of sounds like terrible sowers.
Yeah, only the
Um,
rich people had food. Only the rich people had access to lettuce, tomato, steaks, burgers. But the poor people, they were all eating that synthetic chip, and it was green, and it was called Soylent Green. It was like artificial food. Well, I'm gonna spoil something for you. You never seen it? You want me to give you the
I've never
spoiler?
seen it, but I love spoilers.
You want me to give you? You want me to spoil it for you?
Yes, I do. I gotta know.
Where
You're
did
like,
Mike
that's
go?
what's
Okay,
happening
he'll be back. Okay, I hate to spoil it for you because it's such a good classic movie that you need to watch. Mike, I'm talking to you too. You need to watch this movie. It's called Soylent Green. Let me pull up a preview here before I give you the spoiler. Let me pull it. I hate giving spoilers because I really want you to watch it, but you're still gonna have to watch it. You're gonna have to let me know that you watched it. Okay, I'm gonna pull
now.
up.
I will.
Let me pull this up real quick. I'm going to. I don't want to play the trailer because of copyright, but I think I could pull up just the still of it. I'm gonna pull up the still.
So I'm having a hard time. I've only got Windows Lights, and I can't watch while I'm talking. Otherwise, there's such an echo that I can't hear.
Well, I can
Uh,
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me okay? Is there a really bad echo?
no, I'm just saying, like, for me to go and actually watch what you're playing. If
Oh,
I
okay, okay.
toggle to that,
I
I
am.
can't hear what.
I'm actually just gonna pull up. I'm just gonna pull up the still to the movie promo because, like I said, like copyright reasons, I don't want to play the trailer or anything because of copyright, YouTube copyright. But I can pull up this. I'm gonna pull this up so you can see. Um, this is Soylent Green here. It came out in 1973, and it's based in the year 2022. What year are we in? Charlton Heston was the star. The Chuck Connors was in it. Lee Taylor Young, Edward G. Robinson, he was in it. Brock Peters, Paula Kelly, John Cotton, Joseph Cotton. So it was an all-star cast. So I'm getting ready to spoil this for you. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
are you ready?
Now that I know.
Soylent Green. Wait a minute. I had to pull this up. Wait, where is that scene? Soylent Green. I'm trying to find the scene here. Soylent Green. So Charlton Heston goes through. He finds out about Soylent Green, like, and that's all they had. That's all the people had. So this is see these little green chips right here. That's all the poor people were allowed to eat. They're like synthetic food and stuff. That's Soylent Green. So that's Charlton Heston right there. He just this like getting close to the end of the movie. He found out what it was, and that's what Soylent Green was made out of. So the rich people had found a way to capitalize on the overpopulation. And Soylent Green, they took all those people that would go into those facilities to euthanize themselves. They took their bodies
Mhm.
and turned them
Mhm.
into Soylent Green.
Ugh.
So it was like the evils of capitalism as well, because all of those people felt hopeless in the world, kind of like how we're feeling hopeless right now. But they had an option that
Mhm.
they could go pay. They could go pay to be euthanized. Kind of like when we naturally die, we still have to pay when we die. We got to pay for the funeral costs. We got to pay for the caskets or whatever cremations or whatever it is you do. So these rich people capitalized on people's grief when they decided they were it was just too hopeless for them and they didn't want to live anymore. And it's like they called it going home. So when they said, okay, it's time for me to go home, they would go to one of those facilities and pay to be euthanized. And then those rich people took their bodies and turned them into food. And then they fed them to all the other poor people. That's what the poor people were eating.
Well, I was just, it's funny the synchronicities that have happened this whole way because we're just watching this documentary tonight. Because I go down to all these different rabbit holes and I wanted to look up, yesterday I was looking up like our meat and this was because I was watching a cartoon with my kids about burgers. And then
Bob's
for some
Burgers.
reason, I was like, I just looked up, I don't know why, I looked up how much meat is in processed meat, and by like FDA standards, I could be wrong numerically, but like in processed meat, all that I'm not sure if it was processed meat, including burger. I think one was like processed meat and one was burger, but one of them only 35% had to be meat, and the rest could be filler, and that filler could fall under like anything. And so that was even making me wonder in that itself yesterday, and then you're showing me this today, and I'm just like, oh, that's,
What?
that
But
it
are
shows
you
like
freaked
that's
out
where
because
we're at.
I showed you that about Soylent Green?
I know you're saying that, and I'm like, oh my god.
Well, I mean, what do you think, Mike? Mike, I want to hear your feet. Turn your mic on. Oh, okay, that's just whenever you're ready to taste, like he'll come back. But yeah, so you're freaked out. You're officially freaked out now. Wait till you actually watch the movie, Belle. Like seriously, this came out in 1973. Soylent Green came out in 1973.
At this point, I'm shocked every time I'm shocked.
And I'm not trying to.
It just is, and like I was telling my husband, I was like, listen to like the title, American Horror Story.
Story,
Like
right?
now that I'm thinking back, I'm like, is it? Is it a documentary? Because
How? Okay, Mike.
I,
Mike's back. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I know exactly what you're talking about because I remember it was either Family Guy or I don't know what show I was watching, but I remember watching. No, it was Futurama introduced that. It was Futurama. I do remember that where like they would like go into like a box and then they would choose how to die. I remember seeing that, but yeah, honestly, I kind of we're not that far off to be honest with you. I,
And that's the thing is because look, like I was saying, that movie was made in 1973. The movie itself was supposed to be in the year 2022.
yeah.
The movie itself was 2022. We're in 2022, and it came out in 1973.
Mm.
well, that I was gonna ask you for some recipes and hit up the Asian market tomorrow,
At the Asian market, yeah, I've got plenty of
and
recipes for you.
but I don't want any meat.
And look, at
I
the
went out
Asian,
and I bought
you
so
get some
many fruits
shrimp.
and veggies today.
Yeah,
That was
you
it.
can get the
Like,
meat at the Asian market. I trust the meat at the Asian market. Like I said, I don't shop at other stores. I don't shop at Walmart. I don't shop at Kroger. I don't shop at Whole Foods. I don't shop at Publix. I don't shop at any of those places. The only place I shop at is the Asian market.
that is where I'm gonna be going.
And then, like within the Asian market, it's like its own little world because depending on what kind of Asian market you go to, the one I go to, you can get Filipino food, you can get African food, you can get Mexican food, you can get Korean food, you can get Japanese food. So it's like a world inside of itself. So whatever you're in the mood for, I mean, you got all of these different cultures of food that you can choose from.
Hmm.
My mother-in-law had a store like that, but it was in Florida, and because she's from Italy, and she would only shop there to get her recipes, and she would shop there, and then she would mail me all of the food that didn't go bad before she'd come visit,
Yep.
and then like pack the rest so that when she came, she cooked with it because it is her. It's that much better. That's why her food tastes as good as it tastes. There's a difference for sure.
Yeah, I mean anything that you think you could get at the mainstream stores, they have it. They got toilet paper, they got seasoning, they got fresh fish, they got shrimp, they got hamburger meat, they got octopus. I like octopus. I like the baby web the octopus. They got whatever crabs. They got like I said that you get choice of African food, Filipino, Japanese, Korean, Indian. You can get all that at the Asian market. You don't have to like when I brag about not like people say put up all these companies to boycott like the Kellogg's, the monopoly on all the mainstream foods and stuff like Kellogg's and Nestle and all that. I don't buy any of that stuff. So I always brag to people. It's like it's easy for me to boycott. I don't buy any of that stuff because I shop at the Asian market. Anything I need,
Yeah,
I
you're
get at
like
the Asian
I
market.
do that. Yeah, that's where I'm definitely all about that because that led me into watching this documentary about like what the hell. I don't know if you see that. And I don't want to get like, and I just kept hearing, it's just funny because you hear people being like, you're such a conspiracy theorist, and so I'll, like avoid something, and then I ran across the same documentary, and the people were saying was stupid, and then I watched it, but with a different mindset than I would have whenever it first came out. Um, and it was very much like the people who run, diabetes are the ones who sponsor meat, and they're just, showing all of the different behind the scenes network of um, how we're sick and why we're sick. And it's
They're making us sick
really,
for a profit.
yeah,
It's obvious.
America's
yeah,
making us sick for a profit.
yes, 100%.
What'd you say, Mike?
100%.
I say it's obvious because like when it comes to meat or anything like that, they inject hormones, like extra hormones. You know what I mean? It's like when I was growing up, I used to have an orange tree in my backyard, and they're like normal size. Well, if you go to the store, they're softballs. They're not supposed to be that big.
Right.
So on everything that we eat is processed. When it comes to like freeze wraps, processed food. But like back in the day, 50s, 40s, and 60s, they didn't have this issue because your local butcher market, they bought from a farm and they cut it there. You had to walk. There was no thing as a Walmart or a Publix or anything like that. It was farmers markets. It was butcher shop
Right.
and stuff like that. Now we can all go to one spot to get everything. So
That's another thing at the Asian market too. Like I said, depending on the Asian market, when you go to the meat department, if you want a certain cut or your meat cut, they have a butcher in the back, like they used to in the regular grocery stores. So I'll get them to cut my chop my pork into cubes or slice them or whatever. Hamburger, ground pork, whatever it is, fish. Ask them to fillet it for you. They do all that there at the Asian market.
I'm definitely gonna. So, uh, we're on base, and the ladies that were helping me, um, they were telling me you need to go to the Asian store in Boise. They're Asian, and I was like, okay, definitely will after this because I mean we do have better food here. We have more options as far as like what Mike was saying. Like it shouldn't be this big. Like that's not natural.
Right.
And I saw in a documentary like these skinny, skinny, skinny chickens, and then they took the stuff and they straight filled it with filler, and then it looked like the chicken that I buy from my kitchen store. And they were saying the carcinogens in them is as much as tobacco, and this guy went and he was asking him about it, and they're just like, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. And it very much reminded me of my last job, how I had to be because of all the non-disclosures I had to sign.
Hmm.
And so I recognized that verbiage and that I cannot talk about it. And then I was like, you just said everything that I needed to hear for me not to buy that anymore. So I'm definitely going to do what you suggest and go
Well,
and
and
take
it's not
them.
even that too, but like I was saying, like all of these companies that are a detriment to our livelihood, they're spending they're buying politicians to oppress us. All of these corporations, Walmart, Home Depot, all of these places are buying and lobbying politicians to harm us. That's the reason Roe v. Wade, one of the reasons Roe v. Wade is overturned, because they bought politicians to overturn it. Okay. All, like I said, the list that shows all of their products and how much of their monopoly and how much they're linked together, my problem is solved. I don't buy any of that stuff. I go to the Asian market. The Asian market doesn't have those products in there. I get stuff in the Asian market that comes from their company, their countries, their juice, their water, whatever. And then if you don't want to buy any meat or eat any meat, it's just like a regular grocery store. They have vegan options, like they have tofu, they have stuff like that. So there's no reason. I aggressively avoid American
Yeah.
stores because they
Mhm.
lobby politicians to oppress me and harm me.
That is, I am vibing with that so much. And that is what, I forgot who it was on TikTok who said, for all of you white stems going out and buying all of this stuff right now to go protest, you are literally giving all of your money to the same people who just took your rights
Right.
away. And I'm like, every day, I just, every day, like what you're telling me right now, every day is like, I learn more and more. So I'm glad that I know a direction, um, a direction at least to go
And another reason
maintain
I
world peace.
aggressively only shop at the Asian market is the fact that during COVID, like when we started, they started opening up slowly. I'm vaccinated and boosted. I still wear my mask because everybody else is nasty. The people that I live around that are in my area, they're nasty because I'm in a red state. They're nasty. They're just
Yeah.
nasty.
Same.
So when I go to the Asian market, the people there are people that go in there without their mask, but everybody went in there with such a everybody during that really crucial time. They were like adults. You remember like seeing other people in other countries that were wearing masks and not throwing hissy fits like brats.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you go into the Asian market. You can wear your mask or not, but I wear my mask, and I don't have to worry about some gun nut carrying a gun across his back. People like that don't shop at the Asian market. That's the only place I feel safe shopping, and even more so now.
Yeah, it's, it's yeah. We're in a, it is like the, I live in Idaho, so I don't know if you guys know who Armin Bundy is,
Yes,
but he
I
was,
remember that. I remember when he did that standoff. I watched that whole thing.
yep,
I watched it live,
yep, yep,
and they got away with
yep,
that.
yep,
A few of them got shot,
yeah,
but basically that was like white privilege on display for the whole world to see. That was like the ultimate form of white privilege.
just like maybe a month ago, he went into a hospital and held up the hospital by gun. He's
Yeah,
still at it. This is insane.
that's why I'm so mad now. I'm trapped here. I was trying my hardest to get out of this country because I saw where it was going. In 2016, I was trying to get out of this country. I started planning to go move to Japan. I wanted to move there. First thing, besides the fact that they're trying to repopulate an aging town, and I don't mind living around elderly people, um, they don't have a Second Amendment, and they don't have gun nuts running around running amok. So that was a selling point to me. Although colorism,
Yeah,
although colorism and racism is global, the level of colorism and racism in Japan would not get me killed like here.
Yeah.
I would much rather deal with sitting across from an elderly Japanese person that has never seen a black person and they decide to just want to stare me down. I would rather live with that than worried about some Amon Bundy type gun nut coming up and shooting me just because of the color of my skin.
Well, that's like weird though, honestly, in this country, because um, when the Roe v. Wade got overturned, right, and then all of a sudden, um, no, actually, no, it started in Texas. Texas, when Uvalde happened, everyone's talking about, hey, gun control, this, that, and third. Obviously, yes, we can't ban all guns because they're everywhere, right? So, I
Mm,
saw different content creators trying to come up with different ideas how they can limit it, and like these people were like, "Oh, you're not gonna take my weapon away, this, that, and the third." I mean, technically, dude, all you really need is a pistol, right, and a shotgun. If we're gonna be honest, you
right.
don't need a sniper. You don't even need an LMG. You don't need an assault rifle. To be honest, you're
No.
spending thousand, $5,000 for these weapons, right? That's just sitting around. You can only shoot it at a gun range or
Right.
somewhere who has a lot of property or anything like that. If you're really scared of someone breaking into your house, all you really need is a pistol. That's it. You know, and they're like, oh, well, we need weapons for a tyrannical government. I was like, do you guys understand that
What the government has?
they have tanks, they have
right.
warhogs, AC-130, they
Drones.
have they're literally if if the people did an uprising against the government, we would be at a great disadvantage because they have more stuff in their disposal than we do. All you guys have is AR-15s. That's all you guys have. They have
Which is like, compared to what the government has, is like a little pop gun.
eight, you know exactly, and they're like, oh well, it's for the tyrannical government. When when has the because to be honest, the government can declare martial law if they actually wanted to. There's no law that says they can't declare martial law. If they
Especially now.
exactly if they wanted to, they could be okay, cool. We declare martial law. You know what I mean? And if you have weapons, we need them. If you don't comply, we'll shoot you. Then what?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how that's gonna work too.
You know, they're, and now they're all walking around with weapons and stuff like that. My guys, you guys don't understand. You guys are dumb. Like you guys don't know what real combat is. Like veterans, people who have been in war. All I have to do is listen to the stories. Like it's not this no, it's not glorified or this sunshine and rainbows. No, you're taking another life. You're shooting an actual gun. So let's just say yes, you want to, exercise your amendment right where against the government. I bet you won't pull that trigger. I bet you won't pull that trigger.
Yeah.
And if he does, I mean, basically, look what happened. Like, do you remember Mike? I don't know. You're probably too young to remember, but there that she was talking about Amon Bundy, those white guys, cowboy guys that they did a standoff against the federal government. Like they were running out of food and everything, but they literally did a standoff against the federal government. This is like a few years back. Yeah, these white guys were throwing a temper tantrum over some property that didn't have anything to do with them. It wasn't their property. They were channeling their ancestors trying to take over property that belonged to the natives,
Yeah.
typically, but they were like, mine, mine. And they had the guns pointed at the federal agent, agents and all this stuff. And the federal agents were in tanks and they were just sitting there looking at these guys like, we can wait them out because they're going to run out of food. That's exactly what happened.
That's wild.
They were sitting there. You remember? Because I was, like I said, I was watching it live because I was just like, yeah, these white guys are throwing a fit, throwing temper tantrums. But the government, they were sitting in tanks. They had their tanks pointed at these guys and everything. And they were just like, we don't have to do anything. We're just going to wait them out. And that's what they did. They were just waiting. And these guys started making videos on streaming videos going, we're running out of food. We need
That's really actually.
It was hilarious. They were trying to act all big and bad, and they started crying. We don't have no food. I'd love to have a pizza.
Love the steak. I love it.
And the federal government was just sitting there looking at these guys on their tanks. They had the tanks pointed right at them. And they were just sitting there like, yeah, we can wait these guys out. They were like, we need people to airdrop water to us and somebody airdrop a pizza.
It should have been like, well, since you wanted to go back hundreds of years, why don't we trade?
Right. That was so funny. But I mean, as funny as that is, it's still infuriating to know that they got away with that stuff. They, like I said, a few of their guys got shot, but not all of them. And they were basically throwing a white man rage party because they couldn't get their way.
They were literally playing
Yeah.
with their guns and their own got shot and like
They look stupid. They look so
It's
stupid.
our land. It's our land, guys.
I wish I had a pizza. Yeah, they were trying to stream out videos to get messages to people that were watching their live stream. I wish I had a pizza. Somebody come airdrop. Tell the agents just to give order a pizza and tell them to send it.
That's correct.
airdrop a pizza.
Bottled water. They didn't have any water. They ran out of everything.
But hey, you know,
They really
no,
thought
it's
it
no,
was going to be the calendar game. They were going to go sponsor.
Yeah.
but what's funny though? Now you're seeing white women do the same thing, basically. Like it's kind of like I don't understand. This is what I don't understand, right? Is how are you guys still messing up this bad? You guys have I'm not talking about the white women that know already. I'm talking about the white women that are like, oh my god, we gotta do something, guys. Like our rights got taken away. Like, oh my, what we do? Those because it's like how do you guys? Because first of all, when you guys decided to march for your rights, right? Black women were never included. Okay, there are always last of women's rights, and there were always last when it came to to abortions or making babies. Both of those, right? So, and you guys have the opportunity to include them in this, you know. But no, you guys want to sit here. Oh, we're gonna take a knee. Oh, you guys never seen nothing yet. I'm like, what you sit down, sit your strawberry shortcake ass down, and pay you shit? Like, what do you mean? Like, you chastise Colin Kaepernick talking about, hey, that's disrespecting the flag. Okay, cool, right? Now you guys want, we're gonna take a knee, right? You know, now you're to be like,
Oh man.
oh, oh my God, they're so violent. Now it's like, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, so yeah, I was saying to him earlier, I was like, okay, so me as a black woman, I'm telling one of these women, I'm sitting there looking them in the face, like, ma'am, I'm starving, I'm choking to death. I need a bottle of water, and that bottle of water that you're holding there, can I have a sip of that water? And then she'd be like, oh, does this costume make my butt look big?
And
I need a sip of
Oh
water.
and
yeah.
and then they're like, oh, we're Vikings. And I'm like, what are we doing? You guys
Right.
are on TikTok doing this, guys. Go out there and actually do it. Stop getting on TikTok talking about, we're gonna do this. I'm like, no, go actually do it. Because you being on TikTok playing dress up is not like anything for no, it's not. And you guys want to take a song for Tupac, right? That was basically for black women, and the album was, yes, because I don't know if I can say that on stream, whatever like that, right? But was it for
Say the PG version, PG-13 version.
exactly? So you one specific verse of that song, and you're using that song because of Roe v. Wade. You know how disrespectful that is to the black community, to Tupac. You know,
But a lot of them do that to do it on purpose to antagonize. They're doing it to antagonize on purpose. And I've just come to the conclusion that it's in their DNA. I mean, it goes down to their bone marrow. Just for some of them,
Mm-hmm.
because not like you, because you have taken it upon yourself that you've got the rose colored glasses off. So like people like you, I'm not addressing, but like those women, they want to antagonize on purpose.
I do feel like, though, if I may, I I have always struggled with mental health. It's run in my family, and I when I say I have tried everything, it wasn't until I found the perpetrator PTSD. I forgot the exact terminology of it, where I really, really realized, because I mean, I would be very honest with my, you know, all the people that I've tried to work with, that I've tried to get my kids help with, and the family line of it is strong. So I am not going to say that I don't have that. I think that I do have that, and I think that this is the only solution. Like if you're a mental health advocate and you're white, and you do look at the statistics of our kids are the ones going in with guns, and just my mind is more, I operate more out of my mind than emotion.
Mhm.
And when you get so desperate that it's like, how can I save my kids' lives? Like, and I've even wondered, like, are our kids cutting their skin? This is abstract, because they know what it represents. I know that that's a little abstract, but I don't disassociate myself from that, and I think that that illness, I will be like a schizophrenic. You
Mhm.
know, there's medicine, there's help, there's counseling, there are people that you can hire that can come around that will love you irregardless and unconditionally, because we're alive, and you guys have that in you or we don't. And And I know that it's offensive and it's like triggering, but like if we don't face the reality, like I might have, like, I don't, it's so hard to say, like, I may be racist for the rest of my life because I was born in it. And by racist, I don't mean, I am anti-racist. I will forever be anti-racist. But as far as like the white violence that rises up out of me, the mess that rises up out of me, like that's generations. Is it my fault? No. Did it become my fault once I realized I was sick? Yeah, it did. Like, because I want to make progress with my kids, so if they decide to have kids, they can do better. And like, until a lot of us say, hey, there's more than just books, like, and I'm not even saying like anti-racism books, but that too, like, this, I think it's an epidemic. I really do.
Yep.
And I don't, and, and I almost hesitate saying that because I see sicknesses so weaponized
Hmm.
as like an excuse. But there, it's like if there's a new sickness, then there's got to be a new cure. And once you realize that there's a sickness, you've got to figure out. I don't know. I'm going off that. Like,
Well,
I'm
but
not
but
saying that you're wrong or anything.
no, but that makes
I just,
sense because I was kind of having a conversation about this a few days ago with somebody where there's like you, me, and Mike, we have to try not to sound like conspiracy theorists, but this is basically from what we're actually seeing. And then from what we're actually seeing,
mm-hmm.
they're going to look at us and gaslight us to tell us you're not actually seeing this with seeing what you're actually seeing. You know what I'm saying? But like
Yeah.
the GOP have weaponized what you were talking about. They're already aware from their little think tanks. These rich people have think tanks where they do like behind the scenes studies on how population reacts to stuff. Rich people do that kind of warp sick stuff. So these
Mm-hmm.
GOP people have weaponized the fact that they already know that it's an inherent thing with the white rage and the white violence. They've weaponized that to allow these it's
Mm-hmm.
how they think about how they maneuver the media, the news after there's a mass shooting. Okay, think about how they purposefully describe a black man that does a crime, or a Muslim man that does
Mm-hmm.
a crime, or a Latino man that does a crime, compared to the white man that does a mass shooting or something like that.
Oh, oh, Steven over
Mm-hmm.
here was a good kid, but
Right.
he went down the wrong path in life. But a black man,
He
oh,
was a lone
yeah,
wolf. He was a lone wolf.
he was a gang banger. He has a criminal record. He had a gun in the car. That's why this happened. It, but what this was what makes it worse, right? They will use a black face, right, to talk about this stuff because it's like, oh well, if he talks about it, it's fine because he's black, and
Mm.
if they
Yeah,
against it, we can call them racist because he's black. It's like
that's the Candace Owens.
Candace Owens. The two people I don't like the most is Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum. Those two are fucking clowns, right? Because when it comes to a white person, right, nothing, zero, right? But when it came to Breonna Taylor, right? When it came to George
Right.
Floyd, right? When it came to Elijah McClain, that's what really got me seeing Brandon.
That bothered
Yeah,
me. That really bothered me.
he's fine, baby. That video bothers me so much because that boy or that did not do anything whatsoever.
He was
You know?
he was a special needs too, a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit special needs, but he was a genius because he played the violin.
I watched that whole video. Not one time did I see him do anything right? And of course, what happened? Brandon Tatum, here he comes. Elijah McClain. Oh, I superhuman strength. Where's because the cop specifically said, oh, he was strong. Where, dude? Where
His only crime was the color of his skin.
exactly? And then
That was his only crime.
of course, Brandon Tatum talking about, oh, superhuman strength that happened to me too, my bro. No, no, that's a freaking lie because it wasn't even in the video, fam. What are you doing? It was not even.
Well, you know where that came from? You know where all that kind of conditioning came from? A Birth of a Nation.
Yeah,
A Birth of a Nation?
because he
That started all of that.
he described like of him being in the hood, talk about that, and then he got out of the hood and started college, and he was like, "Oh, white people are not like how black people say." I'm like, man, you sound dumb. You sound real dumb right now. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like for him and Candace Owens, when it comes to a black person, right? They always bring up, oh, does he have a record, right? And there's also one that bothered me was freaking who was that
Khalif Browder.
who was that woman back in it was 2 years ago. She walked in on a black man in his own house eating ice cream.
Oh, yeah, that lady. She only got 10 years.
And
He was eating ice
what
cream,
was
watching
the
TV.
most? Everyone's hugging her. I'm like, what are
Yeah.
you guys doing, bro? She literally went into someone else's apartment, right? Oh, I was tired after a long day, and shot him because she thought, oh, he was breaking in her own apartment, and everyone's, oh, we forgive you. Oh, look, 10 years, 10,
That But see, that's another part of the conditioning of white supremacy.
yeah,
It's like, okay, let's keep the black people docile. So they use families like that have been traumatized or somebody in their family has died. They get them behind the scenes and say, just try to calm down the masses, keep the masses calm down, and it works to an extent because a lot of us see through all that.
mm-hmm.
I don't want to see that.
And then
I don't want to see that. And I know that they're using those families
yeah,
to try to calm us down
exactly,
in the face of injustice.
exactly.
And I'm not going to watch that them demean. It's just another form of brutalizing black and brown people.
Exactly, and everything broke. Everything went to hell when George Floyd died. That's when everything just went poof. Because it was coming. Like obviously, like it was just a build up. Is when George Floyd happened, that's when everything just blew up, and what I mean, it just went full one.
I'm gonna I'm gonna show y'all something here. This story right here was just even more as heartbreaking as Elijah McClain's. Khalif Browder. This was heartbreaking. This man, they kept him. They wrongly accused him of stealing a backpack
Oh yeah,
after
I
refusing to take a plea deal.
was
He spent 3 years in Rikers solitary confinement, and then he hung himself 2 years after his release.
yeah.
Can you imagine the brutality of what he? I mean, I don't even want to imagine. I already
No,
know.
right.
But this young
I've
man,
heard nothing but bad stuff about Rikers Island.
but just in general, the injustice of this entire story. This young man didn't even get a trial. He couldn't afford to bond out. They kept him. He was falsely accused of stealing a backpack,
Yeah,
and they kept him in solitary confinement for 3 years. And the guards allowed him to be beat up, brutalized in that time, and he was innocent.
yeah.
And of course, when the state released him, no apology, no nothing. Just, be black and deal with it, basically.
Yeah, I wish. So what I wish that I could share everything that I saw at my last job. but I can share that I was a moderator for a company whose platform was for a very popular social media network.
Mm.
So I was getting all of the videos, all of the live videos of everybody around the world. Like there was no algorithm, and it's like live, it's what's happening right now. And so I was in the room with all of the kids, whether parents or not, because that's the world we live in, right?
Right.
Is our kids are online. And the difference between the kids who were white and the kids who were black the whole time I was working, or I'm sorry if I talked, I'm so used to being in my
Or yeah,
voice.
well, I mean, if they were
Um,
black, that's fine too. That's fine.
but so, but specifically the being BIPOC is what I'm referring to because I would hear, I can't even say on your channel what the white kids were saying and how they were talking because it was so disturbing. And it was like tag, 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 tag. There were so many. And then I would get the ones where young black men would come on and they same age and they were playing and man, they were so encouraging and they were using words like this one video and I'm by myself going through this anti-racism work and I every day I would literally think these young kids, I'm not even kidding because their moms aren't around, their dads aren't, and I'm not saying not around, I'm saying like they're safe in their bedroom, playing with their friends and the terminology that the white guys are using against each other is just so mean. And then, there are these black teenagers and prepubescents saying, "Oh, that was subpar," but you know what? You can do better. You can do better. And I'm just like, and we really think, and there's always been this like conflict of happiness and then this despair that would just wash over me every time that I would see another black teenage man, or young man get shot because all I could think after that is that was so subpar. Let's do better. And and that's that. Like that is the reality of what is happening. The good, I
And it's the system. Like I said, the white women are going to this has to be. They have to do this work because, like we said, black women have been trying to do this for the longest.
Mhm.
So white women have to do this work if they want to dismantle the system, like get serious to dismantle the system, because they are the ones that are breeding the mass shooters,
Mhm.
and they're the ones that are marrying and sleeping with these men that are making these laws that are taking away everybody else's rights.
Mhm. Yeah. And then we go to counseling and get on all of this medicine. And like I said, even before this, I was trying to get regulated and, trying to fix everything. And I'm walking and they're like, I think I'm a narcissist. And, my therapist is white. And she's like, you couldn't be a narcissist if you tried. And I'm like, no, I think I am. Like I think. And then I found Dr. Romney. And then I found, she's on YouTube. Have you guys heard of Dr. Romney?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, she goes into different cultures and different groups, like all the different dynamics of narcissism. And it's really interesting because it's like we're the biggest cult ever in America as far as I'm concerned. And then
White women,
there's, huh?
white women.
What? Whiteness? Yeah. White. The white, um, the way that it's structured in
Mm-hmm.
America. I'm sorry.
Right,
I'm not white.
right. White, the whiteness, the structure of whiteness.
Yeah. like it's all gotta go. Like
Mhm.
the whole the system
Mhm.
of how it's going. Not so yes, thank you for the but
Mhm.
how yeah. And then the grouping together and the mindset and the collective thinking and how you're raised. And then, there's different churches, there's different where it is so follow the leaders. And then when I got to that point of like my studying narcissism, that I realized like a lot of that, there's so many things like OCD or, like when I'm decolonizing in this community is they're like, can you not refer to it as OCD and just say what it is? Because OCD implies that it cannot be changed,
Okay,
like
Belle,
on
hold on a
diagnosis.
second. We have to say goodnight to Mike. Thank you for coming,
All right,
Mike.
ladies, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Yay.
Thank, thank you, Mike.
We can do this tomorrow if you want. Just let me know. Just send me a message if you want.
All right, so now sounds good, ladies.
Because I loved having you as a guest and having your perspective as a man.
Okay,
I like hearing from you as a man, and I like what you had to share
thank you.
too, because I want to hear your voices too.
All right, you guys too.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night,
Good
Mike.
night.
Okay, go
Good
ahead and
night.
finish, Belle. You can finish talking now.
Um, but you know, the need, the constant need to control.
Mhm.
And then like explaining like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. But when the top of the top of the top, and all you're going to see it and get help from are white people, and you're not going outside of that because you don't have access really outside of that. It's like you're not gonna get that. You're not gonna get called out, like, and like she was saying like, no, you're not presenting. And I'm like, but I'm really having a hard time with, you know, not being like this. So what is the solution? And it's like, it's medicine. It's, it's this, it's that, or the blaming of everybody else around you. And then until it was like, I I got into connecting with the BIPOC community and got called out on my shit,
Mhm. Mhm.
And oh, I'm sorry. Got
No, no,
called out
no.
on
And then
my
it says a lot about your character when you are listening. Whether like that, you being called out is more like tough love in a sense, because
yeah,
especially if it's like raising a. I'm trying to think of the right analogy, but it's like tough love, especially when situations are so desperate. So it's not like
yeah,
when you're being called out, it's not being malicious.
yeah. And that's I think what it really boils down to is none of us are ever raised, and it does start with the moms,
Right.
like the white women, because we're we're not being raised, and then we go and looking for help. And then the issue is when we do get called out, well, that hurts our feelings, and we can go hire somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
So then it's pointed, well, and I'm not saying I did have trauma, I did have this, I did have that, but, you get to a certain point if you don't stop going and getting that help where, or if somebody's like, afraid that you're gonna, unalive themselves. Like I don't think that they get called out the way that we need to because it didn't happen at a younger age.
Right.
And
Right.
so,
Right. And if you don't
um,
know, and if you don't listen to it and try to correct yourself, then it's just going to keep going. The cycle's going to keep going, because
mhm,
my fear honestly is seeing, and this, I'm speaking for myself as a woman of color. My fear is from what I
mhm,
see from a lot of the white women, like like we were laughing and joking about them and their little costume and the cosplaying and stuff like that. But my fear is, even as dire as this situation is, how much worse it's going to get, that they are going to drop the ball because they're going to try to psych themselves out to be like, well, even if they're doing this to me, it's whatever they do to me is not going to be as bad as what they're going to do to somebody else. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna fall back on their outrage right now. Like all the white women are outraged right now. My fear is they're gonna get complacent again and be settled in the knowledge of, okay, we're gonna get our rights taken away, but at least we're on a level where our rights being taken away is not going to be as bad as somebody else's.
Mm-hmm. Like going back to an ex-husband that abuses you
Hmm.
because you figure out, oh, now I can't eat. Have you? This might be something I don't know, but Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's astrophysicist, and I love listening to his little reels about. Do you know what scares me so bad and keeps me up at night? Well, I don't know if this is ever something you want to add into like a sci-fi something, but when we were talking about running out of food,
Oh yeah.
something that I often think about is what is going to happen if we hit this like apocalyptic stage and all of the Karens don't have their mood stabilizers like all at the same time. And like, I think about that and like that keeps me up at night.
So what's the mood stabilizer? What are the mood stabilizers they're taking? What are these mood stabilizers?
It's so like there's antidepressants that help, and then
Oh.
there's mood stabilizers because antidepressants help when you're sad. Mood stabilizers help when you're angry.
Right.
Like it helps rage, and I'm just like, oh my god! Like most people go up. Like if that ever happens, that's how I see the end all. Because the people, I just I look around at everybody going nuts and putting on like all this cosplay stuff, and then I think what would be like their biggest weapon ever is be like mood
Okay.
stabilizers
Okay,
race
look.
mountains.
I'm going to address you as like I want you to channel your inner white woman whisperer. You're going to be the white woman whisperer because I want to ask you, since you're in proximity of white women more than I am. Uh, I'm more in proximity to white women in passing. Like if I have to go out and go pay a bill or something like that. But since you're like in the midst of being around white women, you're going to be the white woman whisperer. I want to ask you. So what is their process like? And this will help too for you sharing if you know the answer or whatever you can share so we can know what is their thought process when they think to do stuff like the cosplaying their oppression.
I think I think that it has to do with just I don't know because I don't like to be on the camera so much,
Right.
but that's more of like but I think it's narcissism. I think it's they want to be the star of the show, and they like nobody ever. It seems like you watch the movie and it's not like people identify with the sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they want to be the Batman, not the Robin.
Mm-hmm.
But with Mean Girls. They don't want, like, even the movie Mean Girls. They, I forgot their names, but I know that that was like a thing when I was younger.
Right.
Nobody, nobody wanted to be like the, the somewhat the side characters. Nobody wanted to
Right.
be that. They wanted to be like the main one or the one that goes from like ugly duckling to pretty swan. And I think that they want their names down in the history books or something. Like, I think that it's not so much a fight. I think it's more of a race. Like, who could get there first?
Well, it's that and
That's
the conditioning of all of his history that's been told up until this date. I This is 2022. I said in 2020 that I've had several conversations with people, and I was telling them um, the next year that's coming up, people are going to start to not center whiteness. And I was trying to explain it in a way where people, especially people of color, are gonna start ignoring like white, like white women that are always historically put on a pedestal. In the movies, they're always the beauty queen. Their standards of beauty are the only ones that everybody has to, try to look up to. They, but I was like, for something I was seeing, I was like, whiteness is getting ready to be decentered. Like people are getting ready to not center whiteness anymore. And I didn't get into details about it. I just, from what I was witnessing over the year, it was something that I noticed. And then as soon as the 2021 happened, was it 20? No, it was, no, this was during Trump, the end of Trump's reign of terror, the end of his reign of terror.
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, people are getting ready to start decentering whiteness and turning them off and tuning them out. Like, and then what happened the next year? It was like people were not going to movies, those white savior movies and stuff. People were not going to spend
Mm-hmm.
money to go into these movies with these white savior lead characters. People were starting not to listen to like white centered groups and musicians anymore. And personally, for me, I haven't been paying attention or tuning into it for like about about 20 years. And I refuse. Like I've seen American movies, yeah, in the past, but like as of now, and especially since 2016, I don't play any American Western TV shows in my house. I don't watch any Western American TV shows and movies. I don't listen to any Western music, and that includes rap. I don't support the white savior movies or TV shows. I don't support the rappers and the black entertainers, athletes that are colorists that disrespect dark skinned black women. I don't support any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any of that on in my house. I don't listen to their music and I don't watch their shows.
I heard you say that on your live last night, and I actually have stuff written down, uh, and questions I had for you. One was recipes, and the other was um, show recommendations with subtitles.
Oh, okay. K
Do you have
dramas.
any?
Yes, I started a K drama group in my Facebook, and I don't we don't just talk about K dramas because I watch K dramas, J movies, Japanese movies, Thai, Chinese. So we have all that in the group. And music, I listen to. I've got some phenomenal like Asian artists that like you can from rap to trot to hip hop to pop to rock, like all Asian. And I could give you my playlist and stuff.
I would love that. And we could
Yes.
even connect on there and like we go in there and just like look through. whatever you have, unless you're getting, because I thought you were like,
Oh, no, no,
I
no. I'm
haven't
fine. I'm
watched
fine.
it.
I could also recommend, like, do you have a smart TV?
Yeah,
So on this, I don't know if you have Roku or let me see here. Do I have that
yeah, I've
there?
got Roku.
Okay, so Roku has like little channel options. You got all these different channels. Where there's Kakawa,
Mm.
you can look. Let me see. I'm gonna pull this up here so you can see it. So these channels are like if you don't want to pay for Viki, which Viki is only $9.99 a month, and I like it because they have like more up to date, like what Koreans are actually watching right now on in Korea. That's where Viki comes in. Viki is kind of like a let me see. I'm gonna turn this camera around here so you can see it. This is Viki. So you have a choice of um, Korean, Japanese. I think they got Japanese on here too. There's a community. Oh, also, if you subscribe to Viki too, say like you get a subscription, I have a subscription. We could do watch parties on here.
Oh, that would be fun.
We could do watch parties. So you'd have to have a subscription, but like I said, it's $9.99. So both of us have a subscription. We could do watch parties. So we could pick a show. So
That
you
would
like
be
right
fun
here,
also.
this is a user hosted party. So we could sit and watch like the movies and dramas and stuff together.
Oh, that's cute. That would be fun.
And then
I would, I would love that.
yeah, so so this is Vicky. This is what you would look for if you want to pay for Vicky. It's $9.99 a month. Now Kakawa, that is on like on the Roku. They have a free version of this. They have a free version just so you see Kakawa on your um, Roku. It's free, so you can start watching like whatever the free movies and shows, dramas that they have on the Roku.
I'm all about that
So
because
and
it's
then
been.
they have a free Viki on Roku too. But the thing about that is they just play the older stuff, like the really older stuff, like from the 80s, 90s, the early 2000s. Now this app right here specifically is what's playing like right now, like what people are into right now. But still,
That's so cool.
just to get started, you can go to the Roku and then they got the cacao and they got the free the free cacao and the Viki on there and you can just because I go to sleep to that at night. I turn on the Roku and then I just go to sleep. I'll start watching something and I'll go to sleep and it'll be a show that was on probably in the early 90s or something like that. I've seen it already, but I just have it playing in the background. I had, like I said, aggressively do not play anything Western in my house. I'll put it on in the background and go to sleep. Sometimes on Saturdays and Sundays, you know how we all grew up with the Kung Fu Theater on Saturday?
With the what?
Kung Fu Theater. Did you ever watch Kung Fu Theater on Saturdays when you were a kid?
No.
On Saturdays when we were a kid, there was like Kung Fu Theater, and it was like those Chinese martial arts shows that would come on Saturday, and they were dubbed over. Like they had the bad dubbing. They had English actor speakers voiceovers
Oh,
over the Chinese.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I like on Saturdays and Sundays I'll turn on some like old kung fu, like when I'm doing my chores around the house, and I'll just cut that on. Like when I was a little kid, we had it on when we were watching it. I cut it on Saturdays even now when I'm doing my chores, vacuuming, doing laundry and stuff, and I'll have it on in the background. I refuse to turn on any Western TV channel.
Yeah, I didn't want my daughter feeling the way that I felt when I was growing up,
hmm
or even my dad, or even my husband. He's a big buff. He's good looking, and he really and he has the lowest self esteem. He's never gonna get big enough. He's never gonna, his muscles are never gonna get big enough. And I'm like, okay, well, can you stop being my girlfriend right now? Like, where'd my husband go? Like, come back. You're fine. You've got like body dysmorphia or something. Like, because like what the standard is telling you is like you have to be this, and then you go out just to the real world, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, you look so good," but he does not see it at all. Like he does not see it. He does not notice. Never in his mind would he think, like if a girl does a double take at him, he's thinking like, "Oh, I want to see my double chin."
Can you
You know, like I mean, it's just,
can you see the
and I'm
screen?
like,
Can you see the
I
screen?
can see you.
Okay, look.
I can see you, but
This is my late husband, Carrie.
I can't.
This is my late husband, Carrie. That's a picture of us right there. That's us. That was at my 40th birthday.
It's very small. You know what? You sent me pictures, and he's ginger.
Yeah, his, but that's him. Yeah, like I miss him. Like every year, every time this time of the year, it's hard for me too because his birthday was in July, July 29th, and then he died like the following
Mm-hmm.
month in August. So every year this time, I'll start getting kind of sad because it's like coming along the anniversary of his birthday and death.
Yeah, that's such a double whammy. Such a double whammy.
Yeah.
I wish, and like I know being like a widow myself, I'm remarried now, but I just know that there's just nothing that you could really say that actually works to soothe the loss around this time.
And
Like
20
it's
years
just,
together.
yeah, it just, so if you ever need to just sit and just sit, I can just sit with you because
Thank
it,
you. I do. And then,
yeah,
especially going through what we're all going through right now, and I'm like by myself, it's like really, really
and,
hard every day.
and, and knowing what's coming too,
Yeah.
because I don't know if it's like you, but every year, because you're 20 years into this, I think, right? Is what you said,
Yeah.
20 years. So, um, I'll think, and I'm even remarried now, and I have kids, I'm not alone, but every year I get this like delusion, like this year will be better, you
Right.
know?
Right.
But then, and then, because that's what people say, well, just keep your mind busy, do this, do that. And when you try everything,
And I
and
did.
it
Yep.
still,
And that's so frustrating.
and
You know,
then,
that's a form of gaslighting. That is really a form of gaslighting too.
right?
That's a form of gaslighting.
And yeah, yeah, I think it is, or ignorance is bliss because they don't get it,
No, they get it.
like,
I think it's more of a form of gaslighting. They don't realize it's gaslighting, but when you tell somebody, don't be depressed or it'll get better or something like that, basically they're trying to change the subject or like they don't really want to hear it.
mm-hmm,
And then what makes it worse too is when they say like, if you need anything, I'll be there for you.
mm-hmm,
And then you already don't want to make yourself feel like a burden to somebody if you by chance you need to call and just talk to somebody, but to those same people, and then they gaslit you, and it's like they don't answer the phone or they're too busy or you know they put
mm-hmm,
you out. When somebody's in the throes of grief, I just
mm-hmm.
that's like the worst thing to do to somebody.
Yeah, and it like puts blame on you,
Yeah.
like, well, you just can't be sad, and it's like, well, this has happened, I'm sad. I
So they say you don't be
I when
sad
I
because they don't want to see it because it'll make them feel
exactly,
bad about them having a good time, which is okay. Go have a good time, but don't gaslight somebody that's sad and pretend like you care.
the last time I went to church was not the last time, but the time that I was done with church
Mm.
was um when I said it's just I don't exactly remember what I said, but I was just trying to talk to the pastor, and he got irritated with me because I just said, the way that everybody is like acting around me, it's awkward, and he said, well, you really need to have more compassion for everybody because what you don't understand is every time somebody looks at you, they're constantly reminded of death. And
That's
that, and
that's the worst thing
yeah,
to say to somebody.
and that their life is impermanent. And I was like, and I'm done. I am done. Like I coincidingly was being like, well, you need to press in harder because God can bring you out of this, and we really want you to write a book. And I'm like, wow, okay, so that's what it is. That's what it is to you. Like, and so there's, but one thing, like, I don't know if you've experienced this, especially like with you coming up on like the anniversary and his birthday, is like, do you ever feel like there's just no right way to widow? Like
Right.
you're either widowing too much or you're not widowing enough. Like there's so much judgment on being a woman and either moving on too quick or not moving on enough. And, I would, like, for me, when I got remarried, it was like, backhanded compliments. Like, well, I could never because I love my husband unconditionally, but I'm glad that you found happiness.
Right.
And I'm like, I know. So, but just, and I know I'm not I didn't go through being alone for 20 years, and it's not up to that
Oh no,
stage
I've
now.
only
Like,
been alone for it'll be 8 years. It'll be 8 years August that he passed away, but we were together for 20 years.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we were
Oh,
together for 20 years, but he's been gone. It'll be eight years this August.
so that's still, to
Right.
me, that's still really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it never goes away, you know?
Nope. And
Like,
plus dating has changed so much in 20 years. Like I mean I attempted I don't even want to get into it. That'll be another show. But this
yeah,
dude, oh my God. I was just like and now with this Roe v. Wade thing, it's like I don't want any American man to look at me. I'm
right?
single, and I'm just saying that because I'm single. I want an American man looking at me.
Well, I don't blame you.
I don't want no
Because,
American man looking at me. I got a friend I talked to in Japan. He's Japanese. He found me on TikTok too. He's been following me for several years. He found me on TikTok and he followed me a few weeks ago. He's a trucker in Japan. I like talking to him. He's funny. Marikawa. Marikawa. He's funny, but he's up there in Japan.
so do you speak Japanese?
I've been trying to teach
Or
myself Japanese. I've been my own teacher, and then I'm learning from what I watch on TV.
wow.
And actually, like I was trying to learn Japanese more because I was planning on moving, and then I was watching these K dramas, and they kept interrupting my learning. What do you what's the word I'm looking for? They kept entering. I was like, I don't want to learn Korean. I don't want to learn Korean, but I like watching these dramas, right? I'm like, I'm really addicted to these dramas, but I don't want to learn Korean. I don't want to learn. I'm like, I gotta master Japanese first. But now, like when I go to like a Korean restaurant or something, I'm like, I'll speak a little Korean and say, what is it? What is that? My uni. I think I pronounced that right. She's like my big sis. She goes to this restaurant I go into, a Korean restaurant, and she feeds me good because I love kimchi jjigae. It's this big stew. It's kimchi stew, and it's like she put tofu in it and some pork. Yeah, it's good. She got
What is
uni,
what is
big.
what is that long white? I bought one today. A long white vegetable. It kind of tastes like a cucumber, or not
Radish.
a cucumber, like a radish.
It
Yeah,
is
like
radish.
the yeah, it's yeah. We cut it up into fresh, but the women helping me were saying you should look at this kind of soup,
Right.
and they were like, "You mean it's so good?" But do you ever get? Do you like that
Radish
or
kim.
like
I
too
love
bad?
radish kimchi. I haven't had. I
Have
haven't made any radish stew, but I like kimchi. 'Cause you
so
can
what is it?
kimchi anything. Radish kimchi. Like you have to cut it up in chunks. I learned how to. I taught myself how to make my own green onion kimchi because I like green onion kimchi. So I taught myself how to make green onion kimchi.
I'm writing this down.
Yeah, it's a
So
long.
what is this?
Huh?
What is this young gentleman like?
Who?
How's
Which?
that going?
My friend? Why?
Yeah, your friend.
He's an older guy. He's like in his 60s. He's a truck driver in Japan. He
You
doesn't
have
speak
to send me
English very well
pictures.
though. He's trying to learn English, but he doesn't speak English very well. And I'm still like in the beginning stages of Japanese, so but we still laugh at each other. We're laughing at each other. But he does try to speak English though. He's a truck driver. He does try to communicate with me because he
That,
when like he did a live, he does lives, and I go in his lives, and he'll be telling his the people in his chat room. He's like she's my American, she's from America, my American wife. He says my American wife. I
oh,
start laughing. This is
isn't it funny how like the chemistry is just there, even if the language isn't? I
I,
had a
I get so tickled.
I had a neighbor. Oh, go ahead.
No, I said it just tickles me. That tickles me. He's funny.
That is so cute. I
But
had
I
a
mean, he
neighbor, and
doesn't mean
she.
it. But then he's just saying that in the chat room, and like everybody in the chat's all freaking out because I'm because I'm black, and
I
they're like me typing in like, how did you meet her? Where did you meet her? We met on. Where'd you
literally just
meet her
want to
to be
know.
calling her your American wife?
So what is this TikTok about?
And he's
Like,
like,
what
he's
is
like,
he?
she's so pretty, she's beautiful, she's beautiful. Isn't she beautiful? She's a model, she's a model. I'm like, stop saying that, Marco. I'm not a model.
But you are beautiful,
It's like,
and
I'm telling him, quit saying that. I'm not a model.
you could be. Your features are just so stunning.
Thank
I
you.
mean, every time I see your videos and then even like interacting with you and seeing you talk, it's like, oh, you're cutting out. Hello?
Well, I'm part Filipino, of African heritage. And then you know what? And I'm gonna blame like I was telling uh what's her name last night. I said I'm gonna blame my European heritage that I have. And I was telling she never thought she thought that this made sense because she didn't understand. Like I told her when I found out my heritage and stuff, I put all of my flags as many that could fit on there. I put all of my flags on my bio. And I said I made a point of putting the like the British flag, the Scottish flag, the Irish flag. I made a point of putting that on there too. And I said I didn't put that on there because I was proud of those flags. I just put those up there because I wanted people to see, especially racist white people, to see when they cross my bio or whatever, and they see those flags. I'm a product of their barbaric ancestors.
Mm.
And again, and it's not even. I didn't put it up there to be like a victim or nothing. I just want them to know
Mm-hmm.
that when they see me, look at my face, I'm a product of their
Mm-hmm.
ancestors.
Mm-hmm. Do you run across a lot of racist people on your TikTok?
Actually, surprisingly, no. Very rarely, I will get come across somebody if I make a comment under somebody else's post. Like a few weeks ago, I made a comment under one of my favorite Black creators' posts, and it was so heartbreaking to me. So I made this comment, and she had liked the comment at first because she was talking about the interracial marriage and Clarence Thomas not touching. There was like a debate
Mm-hmm.
about Roe v. Wade. Loving versus Virginia, and so I made the comment about Mitch McConnell, and I called his wife a mail order bride, which kind of technically that's what she is because Mitch McConnell and his Chinese wife is their union is like was a business transaction because she comes from a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Her father owns like this huge shipping company and everything like that. So basically, their marriage was kind of like a mail order kind of transaction because her father allowed her to marry Mitch McConnell to get access into our government and and benefits of our government. And Mitch
Right.
McConnell is benefiting in the transaction by getting money from them.
Which is how royalty ran. So I mean, it's not
So
our fault.
when I specifically called her a bail order bride, I was talking specifically to her, not in general, and to the
Mm-hmm.
stereotype of what people consider when they see Asian women with white men and stuff like that. I wasn't talking about that, and I wasn't trying to disrespect like the other Asian women because of
So
those
it's more like
unions. Right. I was specifically
like
talking about Elaine
matriarchy.
Chow. So yeah, so I was specifically talking about Elaine Chow in the comment. That was a comment. So I kept getting all these likes on the comment. It was like going up to like 4,000, 5,000 likes. Like my comment was going viral under this creator's post. Then I had all these people starting to attack me under my comment. And then like I don't know, some comments were saying that they were Asian, and I would click on their profile to see if they were really an Asian person or not, and a lot of them weren't Asian, so I would just block them. They were saying this is disrespectful. We don't like Mitch McConnell and Elaine Chow, but we're not going to use this kind of terminology because it's disrespectful. Okay, you could have asked me not to use that, or you could have said, this is a disrespectful term. Could you please not use that?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they were trying to order me and tone police me and dictate to me. It was like white and those fake Asian profiles dictating and tone policing me. So, I mean, I was going to delete it, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So I reached out to a couple of my Asian friends that I follow, and one of them did make a comment to two of them did, and one's Japanese and one is Korean American. And she said that it was really funny, and that it wasn't disrespectful to her. And I specifically tagged her and said, if this is disrespectful, and you let me know that this is disrespectful, I will delete it and I apologize. That's what I said in the comment. I apologize, and if this is
Mm-hmm.
disrespectful, I will delete it. And she said it wasn't
Yeah.
disrespectful. But then I kept continuing to get attacked, and then I went back and noticed that the creator unliked the comment. That so basically she sided with those, like the fake Asian profiles and those white women that were attacking me. And she's a black creator that talks about social injustice and the black women being, the same thing I talk about. So she, like I said, she was one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite black creators on there. Very knowledgeable. And when she did that, she unliked the comment. So, and she allowed those white women and those fake Asian profiles to continue to attack me. So at that point I did delete the comment, and I unfollowed her, and I blocked her. And she's a
Mm-hmm.
big black creator on there. And she was one of my favorite creators. And that was like really disappointing to me that she would side with those white women that were attacking me and tone police me in her
Mm-hmm.
comment section. After she liked my comment, then she went back and unliked my comment. Little things like that say a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Like, oh, poof, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like it never happened.
Like, I mean, she was supportive
I
of what I said. By liking the comment at first, but then she's seeing all these white women, especially as mostly majority white women, and then like the occasional, like I said, occasional so-called fake Asian profiles or whatever, saying don't do this and tone policing me and yelling at me. They were yelling, basically yelling. You know how that goes in the comment section where they start yelling at people, and I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
this is not gonna fly. First off. So when she unliked my comment, she took the side of these white women when
Mm.
she in particular is talking about how it's wrong for white women to be tone policing black women. She makes commentary like that and posts like that all the time. That she allowed that to happen to me. I unfollowed
That
her. I unfollowed her and I
that was
blocked her
hard.
because that was like, I mean, yeah. For I was just like, and I try not to take stuff like that too seriously, but that just really did something to me. Because, like I
So
said,
when someone
I like this lady. I looked up to her.
mm, yeah, when so much is going on, things that aren't said say so much
Exactly.
more. I do have that kind of reminded me because hearing, as far as it reminds me like being white, how, you know, I love and I appreciate whenever anybody is like, and they don't mean all white people because they don't think like that at all.
Right, right.
Like when anybody. So, but like when I said earlier, like, well, I think because I think coming from like a white person, if I were to say, actually, I think that we all do have this issue and it's not going to go away just by one generation of just enlightenment,
Hmm.
Like, I think that it's important for that to be said, but also, like, to be able to take a joke,
Right.
like, for, and so when you're saying that, like, in that specific situation, to me, it, and I've met, so I'm from Alaska,
Hmm.
so the whole mail order bride thing is like, because there's one woman every 11 men,
Right.
and men make money in Alaska, so they do. I mean, they speak about it like that. That's how they speak, and that's what they call it. Like, it might be derogatory towards a woman, but if that is brought to light, you know, like in other countries, adopt like we call it adoption here, but in other countries they feel like it's they call it by America by children, you
Hmm.
know, and so and then the men who are doing the mail order bride, they're bragging about it in those terms. So I mean, I don't know what is right or wrong, but I know coming from like a big white majority of males who do that, who have money, who have power, that's exactly what they're calling it.
Well, and
And
I've actually seen ads. Like it'll say mail
yeah,
order bride ads. I've seen ads that say mail order bride, and they have like the foreign women, their pictures. They have their pictures just like they look like passport pictures. But I remember I've seen those, and the fact I wasn't like I was saying I wasn't saying mail order bride as being stereotype or malicious or mean in addressing like Asian women. That's not what I was doing. First off, I was specifically talking about Elaine Chao, Mitch McConnell's wife, and their union was a mail order bride transaction.
yeah, which is like similar to a king
Hmm.
sending his daughter over to
Yes,
marry to royalty in another country for power for gain that they both benefited from.
right, right, and that's
So it was,
exactly what their
and that's
union is.
completely, yeah,
Like
and that also reminds
how
me,
else can you explain this decrepit old fossil holding Kentucky and the rest of the country hostage when he the numbers just don't vibe. The math is not mathing with him being in office. The only thing that
mm-hmm,
has kept him in office is money, the Chinese money that came from Elaine Chow's dad, because he's technically an
mm,
oligarch. Her dad. They own a
yeah,
shipping company.
yeah,
He's an oligarch. That's the only thing that has kept this decrepit old Moscow Mitch fossil in Kentucky and holding the rest of the country hostage with putting in his illegitimate SCOTUS judges and all that stuff.
mm.
So Elaine
Remember,
Chow's father has his tentacles in our government.
it's corrupt. Everything here is just so corrupt.
And she was a
And
mail order situation to to bond that
barter.
union.
I'm sending you, if I send you a video, can you get it?
Let me see.
Or
Did you send it
like
to me on text, on my phone text or on the online text?
either way?
Okay, let me see. Let me check my phone. Hold on. Oh, okay,
I
okay.
haven't sent it.
Oh, you
I
haven't.
haven't sent it yet, I don't
Okay.
think. Which one should I send it on?
And I just broke my phone. I dropped it. See, it's cracked. The screen is shattered.
Oh no! Oh
I was
no!
so
You just did
upset.
that?
Yeah, I just got it like a few months ago. I was so upset. I dropped it outside today earlier. It fell out of my hand. Send it send it on the online number link, that might be easier. Send it at the
The one that ends in a five?
yeah, the one you're talking on. That send it there.
Okay, so before I send it, I have to tell you the backstory because this says, I know we've been talking in the language of tangents also, but as far as what Mike was saying earlier, and you guys were talking about the Tupac song,
Right.
Desiree on TikTok was really bringing up the situation of, once again, white women using the Tupac song, and then especially for this move now, because that was already popular and trending, but then now it's on round, I don't know what round it is. But so she put out a challenge for any white woman to send her a song that a white man wrote for them to encourage and uplift them in their own oppression within white supremacy of the struggles that they have to deal with. Because she does speak on it doesn't benefit you either. It just you're like more like, in the house. But you have no power, like you have no voice, and that's why you steal all of her music, you know? And she goes into breaking it down so much more. So her challenge was give me songs that the white man wrote, for you. And then she was like, but see, he's the star in this one. He's the star in this one. Because, women were sending all these different songs, and then she'd come back and she'd vibe with it and she'd sing with it. She's like, as much as I love this song, let's let's do let's pathologize whiteness. What this actually does is center him, or it degrades you.
Mhm.
And even like somebody said Elvis, and she was like, anything Elvis is not white. Like, I mean, just everything. It was a really kind of, she's like, this is turning into a whole social experiment. And so I sent her a message. I just thought maybe you and maybe Mike later might think this is funny.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I said, hey, I found it. I found the song.
So what does your husband think of you doing TikToks and stuff? Does he look at your TikToks?
He does, and actually, he laughed
He,
yesterday and today.
he laughed.
It was no, like he cracked, like he broke. He like for those that have ears to hear, for those who have eyes to see. He was raised completely differently. He was raised by a single mom who came from Italy.
Uh-huh.
So his culture and his household was completely different. So we actually separated for about a year because this is where it gets interesting. Is he's a military cop. So when I got very passionate and very outspoken, it did not go well.
So he's like really, really
They,
conservative. He's really conservative.
um, he was not well. I mean, he definitely plays more of like the. He's so I was raised by a single dad. He was raised by a single mom.
Mm.
So he actually brings a whole lot of nurturing in the house. Like he does the cooking, you know. And then I'm not part of it. Like when I say like I'm getting out the white violence in me, that he knew how backwoods my backwoods went. Like we got excited for roadkill. From Hunter, I lived in Alaska. Like, if you guys need somebody on the front, like I might not want to be on the front line with all this white gun stuff, but if you guys ever need anybody to throw down, like for real, that would be
So you're from Alaska, right?
yeah.
Okay, now I, don't be mad at me. So this
Um,
years ago when they had that show, the road, Alaska Road or something. What was that? Um, it was kind of like it was like cops, but it was the cops in Alaska. What was the name of that show? Um,
I okay. I know those people.
but you know what
All
I'm talking
people.
about, the show. So when I was watching the first time I watched it, I was in shock because this is how much of a bubble the mainland, like, of the United States, keeps people. Um, I never thought that, and I guess I could have looked it up myself to find out, but I didn't know that Alaska was so gangster. I had no
Oh
idea
man.
gangster that Alaska was as gangster as it is. So I was sitting there watching this episode, and I'm like, okay, so these cops are like going on a high speed chase over ice water to catch criminals. Then they're going over, of course, to like these little towns where the natives are, which they were like chase, trying to find the natives, and they're like, oh, well, such and such is not here, and it's like, okay, well, he knows we're looking for him, and we'll be back later, and stuff like that, and then they were catching these people poaching bears, like they were going showing how they
Mhm.
catch 100 people that were poaching the bears, and then the parties they were having on the highway, like how drunk the people got. And I'm just like, my whole perception of Alaska was just peaceful people and bears. Like there was one episode of this dude, this old white dude, sitting on the porch of his house with a gun, and he was drunk, and the cops pulled up, and he was like one of those Hatfield and McCoy types. He's gonna shoot. He pointed the gun at the cops.
Yeah, that was probably my dad.
I was like, I really honestly did not know. And then like the people selling meth, like meth and all this stuff. I was like, I had no idea Alaska was this gangster.
Like that is literally that was my way to describe my dad, my friend, and then my brother was a cop.
I had
And
no idea Alaska was gangster like that. Meth and crack and poaching bears.
yeah,
Like
like those
high speed chases on the
I
ice water.
the when I would go to the gym and stuff, I've never seen an episode, but those people were all of them on both sides were my friends. I know, like I literally know the people in the show, and they're mad
So
at me because I've never seen an episode, and I was like, your head's already big enough. Like I don't want your autograph. I know who you really are. Like,
so you never
I'm
saw the
sorry.
show? You never saw the
Now I'm
show?
talking about no, never. I've never watched it, not even once. I would not give them the satisfaction.
I could, I
Because
couldn't believe
it
what I was
wasn't.
seeing. I was like,
I gotta see. I gotta see this show every day. Like
I mean,
it's a
I was
different
just
rotate.
in
Like
shock. I was
I'm
like,
not
I had no
kidding. Like
idea Alaska was so gangster.
yeah, it was like we had when oh man, like my dad would as far as shooting and guns and everything, my dad would have press of target shooting, but it was from the kitchen table where the gun was hidden underneath the leash, and if somebody was coming through the door, we shot out the door. Like it was hold the table open, rip the leaf off, grab the gun, point. If you didn't point and shoot that fast enough, you get back to the head.
Because I
And
remember
that's what,
I did see that movie. What was it with the vampires in Alaska with what's his name?
28 days later.
Nope, not though. That was in England.
28 days.
28 Days Later was in Europe, in England, UK.
And then
The one with
28.
the vampires. It had what was his name? Um, 20 days. Wait, 20 days a night. 30 days a night.
I think it's 20
30 days of night.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, 30 days
Yeah.
a night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how.
Barrow,
That's how we
Alaska.
just get
What
started.
wasn't that it? Barrow,
Yeah.
Alaska. Yeah,
Mhm.
30 days a night. That came out in
Yeah.
2007. Yeah, had Danny Houston, Josh Hartnett. Yeah, that's it. So
Yeah.
that part of Alaska, that was like what, Barrow, Alaska. That part of
Yeah.
Alaska, is it
I
different
think
than
so.
than other parts of Alaska where like, or does the entire all of Alaska have 30 days of night?
So it does get really dark. It doesn't get like it gets dark. Like it gets to the point of where there's total darkness for about 30 days, and then in the summer it gets to the point where it's daylight all the time because you're at like the North Pole, but that's even further north than where I was.
Mm-hmm.
So it does. Their nights did last longer there, but yeah, it was like in the solstice, like in the winter solstice, it was just dark. And then for most of the winter, it would be like dusk, like after the sunset. So that's kind of like what your day would be. Is like the sun would come up, but then it would be dark. And then the summertime is when you open out the window. It's like, okay, oh no, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I've got to feed the kids dinner. What's happening? But some people would keep a schedule. The people that I ran with, we didn't. We were having bonfires and everything and enjoying as much lightness as we could while we have it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in Fairbanks, it would get way, way hotter than it would like in the valley. I'm from from Sioux Valley. And then there's islands, and then there's, we call it bush up north. And then, like, where it gets more into, like, the indigenous and things like that. But yeah, I sent you that video for
Okay.
you to watch of what song white men wrote for white women during this time.
Okay. So that's for for them to use on the TikTok instead of Tupac song.
Yeah, I think you'll get a kick out of it.
What is it? Bleak. Let's see. Okay, there it is. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna play it. Let's see. It's only 11 seconds. I'm a
Fuck. Fuck.
is that it with the guy Josh Rubin
Yeah, it
stuff?
was just like that's the closest thing that I could find.
Caveman.
There's
Okay. Caveman. He's a comedian.
yeah,
That guy's okay. Let's see.
it was just being silly because there's no song. There is none. Like none. Obviously, there's what Tupac did for you know, it was specifically for black women.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which is even more so troubling when white women do that is because, like I was saying, I don't listen to rap specifically because they disrespect black women, more specifically
mm-hmm,
dark skinned black women, but the music disrespects black women. And then so we have somebody that looks like us that's disrespecting us in their music and stuff. And then behind all that though, the reason it sells is because the white executives of these record labels are making them sell this music disrespecting us and propping white
mm-hmm,
women on pedestals. And so when Tupac made that, especially that song honoring black women, that's that's one of the reasons why it's really like that's why we're reacting the way we react, because considering all of the rap music that's out there that disrespects us, that song was uplifting us. And then these white
Yeah.
women are using it to antagonize us because we don't
And
get it.
I
We don't
didn't
have enough
know,
for ourselves anyway.
and I didn't know the history of like Tupac's mom.
Yeah,
And so they,
Asada Shakur. Yeah,
and that is just beautiful.
yep,
I mean, I had no idea because I never really listened to rap or like related to rap. I
mm,
guess like I don't pretend to relate to things that I don't live through, you
right.
know? And so I I didn't know. All I knew, like I didn't. So I basically knew nothing. Like I knew like the very bare minimum, and I like I'm hearing things as it tractions and as it picks up, and then that's something that I recently got into, like the history of as to why he was the way that he was, and like what Mike was saying earlier on here, as like they portray it so differently because my interpretation of what I thought who Tupac
Mm-hmm.
was nothing like what he is. And it
Yeah,
was kind of like a Kaepernick moment for me recently,
right.
really recently. Just the uptick of this on TikTok. And then hearing, I mean, it's hard to tell you, I've learned so much. I learned way more black, or not, I learned history
Right.
from BIPOC women so much more, like, scholar level. I like, thank you so much because when I'm hearing that, it's just one more example of like, so coming from Alaska and, you know, being surrounded by, so what I thought racism
Mm-hmm.
was, I didn't know that was really going on in, you know, the black community because I really thought that I listened to what I barely paid attention to in school, you know?
Right.
Like, yay. And then I got to see the way that my sister was treated with a small town better, you know. Um, but I saw it for the Alaskan Native Indigenous people
Mm-hmm.
prevalently, and that is what I would call out. And so that's where I thought it was just terrible up there for them.
Right. Right.
So not until it happened did I even realize that that was going on because I didn't have anybody in my community really going through that unless they were like, you know, kids, but who's going to do that? The baby, you know, like it wasn't around me. I didn't witness it for myself the way that of what I thought it was, but but I did the way that they treat indigenous people up there is just awful. And it's just accepted. And then, so hearing the way that you all have come together and just, it's beautiful. Like, it's so beautiful. So I've learned so much. And then I'm hearing Tupac's story, you know, that's not like maybe a dateline or something, you know, being like putting him in a bad light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
And you know
and
who did
then
that?
and then
Those white executives, because he got to a point where he was trying to keep his message kind of, as positive as he could and uplifting. And then, like the white executives of those record labels, no, we want to sell music. We want you to sell. There is a strategic. These white executives are very strategic about rap music. Um, they want the rappers to use all these gang banging and disrespectful lyrics and stuff like that because they know it sells to perpetuate the justification of why so many black men are in prison too.
Oh, I see. Mm.
White executives
I've
manipulate
never
that.
even thought about it that way.
There's a, let me
I've
see if
never
I can
even.
find it. I'm going to find this video. Um, yeah, keep talking. I'm gonna find this video because I want you to hear. It's really profound. Like it's something we know, but like you, in your awakening, I want you to see and hear what this guy said. There's a strategic way. But the thing, what the sad part about it is the black people that allow themselves to be used that way to perpetuate it. Let me see if this is it here. I think this is
Taking the
one.
black light, you must kill the image of the black light.
Okay, I don't like this guy, but some of the stuff he says. What I'm actually looking for is, let me see. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Hold on. Okay. And like you were saying, like you learn from a lot of, there are a lot of scholarly black women on TikTok that do teach. I'm not one of those scholarly black women. I am more of a lived experience. Like I share my stories from a lived experience perspective point of view. Let's see. I think.
Very clear on manners and consequences, which give your page long.
Okay, here we go. This is part two, but let me see. Let me change this around here. This is part two, but listen closer to what this guy says. This is only one of them. It's actually a couple more than I was looking for, but he pretty much says what I was talking about too. Let's see.
Very clear on manners and consequences, which stated that violating the terms will result in job termination immediately. We asked several people what this meeting was about and the reason for such secrecy, but could not find anyone who had the answers for us. A few people refused to sign and walked out. Nobody stopped them. I was tempted to follow, but curiosity got the best of me.
That's right.
A man who was part of the unfamiliar group collected all the agreements from us. So now it's going to get to the good part because the meeting about to start.
Talk to him, Jake.
It says, quickly after the meeting began, hold on one second.
Get your popcorn, y'all.
Popcorn, get your pistol. No,
For real though.
quickly after this meeting began, one of the industry colleagues, who shall remain nameless like everybody else, thanked us for attending. He then gave the floor to a man who only introduced himself by first name and gave no other details about his personal background. I think he was the owner of the residence, but that was never confirmed. He briefly praised all of us for the success we had achieved in our industries and congratulated us for being selected as part of the small group of decision makers. At this point, I began to feel slightly uncomfortable and the strangeness of this gathering. The subject quickly changed as the speaker went on to tell us that the respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry, which could become even more rewarding with our active involvement.
Damn.
He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. Then he
Oh my
says,
god.
I remember many of us in the group immediately looking at each other in awe and confusion. At the same time, I didn't know what a private prison was, but I wasn't the only one. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who receive funding from the government based on the number of inmates.
Mm-hmm.
The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons.
Mm-hmm.
It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares. Most of us were taken back by this. Again, a couple of people asked what this had to do with us. At this point, my industry colleague who had first opened the meeting took the floor again and answered our questions. He told us that since our employees had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now in their a page long but very clear on matters and consequences, which stated that violating the terms
It
would result
repeat
in
it,
job.
it repeated, but basically, yeah. So this guy here, I think this is the video I was looking for right here. Let me flip here. This guy was explaining it like in depth, like where how they incorporated rap music to help the prison industry and yeah, I don't listen to rap. Besides the disrespect they show black women, this is one of the reasons why. But this guy right here, I think. Let me see. Yeah, this is him right here.
Thank you.
It's almost
This is
like
me.
the food that we're
24 years ago this
Right.
month, I'm 17 years old, a senior in high school living in Orlando, Florida. And 2 weeks after this picture was taken, my life went on a tremendous and continues to be on a tremendous journey. 2 weeks after this picture was taken, I dropped out of my private school in the middle of my senior year, moved to a city outside of Atlanta called College Park, Georgia, and enrolled in ministry school. And it was that time that I got a new nickname, and that nickname is White Mike. Now, how I got the nickname White Mike is pretty simple. I arrived at a church that had about 1,000 people, and when people would ask, have you seen Mike? And somebody said, Mike who? Nobody knew my last name. Smith was too hard. So White Mike is who I became. So this is White Mike on the day he graduated from ministry school. This is White Mike teaching in the youth ministry. This is White Mike doing an example on the stage with his pastor. This is White Mike being ordained into ministry. I think you're seeing a pattern. This is White Mike's first roommate when he got there. White Mike at work. White Mike at social gatherings. You can barely see White Mike in there. White Mike with pastors. I just returned from Atlanta Pastors Conference. This picture's about 15 years old, and it's the same picture from when I was here yesterday. This is White Mike's wedding party with White Mike's dad, and White Mike has been on quite a journey the past 24 years. Now, in this time, I learned a lot of beautiful things about a lot of beautiful people. I learned a lot of ugly things about myself. And I learned a lot of dark things about the nation in which we live. But I also learned that I, being White Mike, specifically the white part, have a lot of power. White Mike has a question today, and it's this. How come when you turn on the radio in Jacksonville, or New Orleans, or Chicago, or Little Rock, the only people on the radio that talk about how great it is to kill each other are black? How come that exists? 15 stations on a dial, go up, go down. The only people on the radio bragging about getting automatic weapons, gunning each other down, are black. This right here is a song. My pastoral vocabulary won't let me read the title. But I will read this. Catch a young black male not paying attention at the red light with your AK-47. Let me see you shoot it. You're a killer, you're a killer, you're a killer. You're a killer black male. Let me see you prove it. Why does this exist? I'll take it even further because a lot of time racism exists in what we don't know, what we don't see. Where are the white killers on the radio? Where are the white AK-47 shooters? Where are the white drug dealers? Where are the white people on the radio that brag about what it's like to murder witnesses before trial? The truth is they don't exist. And the question is why? Why don't they exist? Do white people not kill people? Do white people not use AK-47s to shoot each other? I mean, we know, do white people
It's
not
all
do
by
drugs and not
design.
deal drugs? Of course they do. But why is it that it doesn't make it to our mainstream radio? Why is it that we don't hear it hundreds of times a day in hundreds of cities across the nation, thousands of plays that say the idea that a black guy would kill another black guy is something to be celebrated, something to be romanticized? And why is it the white people don't do it? And maybe it's because there's no white audience for it, or maybe it's because it's not really marketable. Maybe because it's not can't get sponsors. I don't know why it is. Or maybe it's because it's just not the white man's role. Or maybe when white people get up and talk about being drug dealers and AK-47 killers, maybe it's even sicker than that. Maybe when white people do it, they're accused of acting black. The truth is, in America, black murder is normal. Black murder is normal. The idea that a black man or a black woman would be involved in a homicide, either as a perpetrator or a victim, is so common, so broadly accepted that it basically goes unnoticed. The truth of the matter is black families are affected by homicide rates of 10 times their white counterparts. There will be more death in the form of homicide involving black people this year than any other form of violence that dominates our national conversation. More than school shootings, mall shootings, mass shootings, workplace shootings, lovers' trysts that turn violent and bloody, even more than in war and in terrorism. No one will lose their life at greater numbers than black Americans involved in violence. Now, when you talk about what's going on in one segment of society and somehow tie it to what's going on someplace else, you kind of lose people they detach. This is our unknowing. Prejudice, discrimination, and racism are not the same. We know prejudice, it exists in human hearts and minds. Discrimination exists in hands and policies, but racism is neither in hearts and minds, nor is it really in policies. As a matter of fact, it doesn't take action to keep racism, it takes inaction. It doesn't take hearts and minds to keep racism going. It actually had to keep things out of people's mind. Racism is like the millstone that churns along in the background. It just goes generation in and generation out and keeps turning out the same generational outcomes. Racism is like the nicotine stains left on the walls after the smoking tenants move out. They take the couch, they take the clock, they take the picture, but the evidence that they've been there still remains. Now, when I speak of black murder being normal, I'm talking about the combination of commonality and palatability. You know, black murder in our country is not only common, it's not only frequent, but it's an idea that we celebrate. It's an idea that we say is okay. We actually make heroes out of the notion, and heroes out of people that trivialize and romanticize it. How common is black murder? Well, in some demographics in the United States, it's very common. According to the CDC, they release a report every year called the LCOD, leading cause of death. And every year, it's been this way year in and year out for the past decade, as far back as they list on their site, black males ages 15 to 34, the number one cause of death is homicide. The number one cause of death. For white males, it's number three. And when you hear that, you instantly go, well, yeah, I mean, that would seem right. I mean, I hear of black on black crime, right? Hear about urban crime. So I guess, yeah, number one to number three, I mean, it's a problem, but it's really not that bad. But the devil is always in the details. The truth of the matter is that if I were to take everybody that dies in this year, every black male 15 to 34, and I brought them into a room December 31st, said, all of you have made it to the afterlife. And I want to take a quick survey. How many of you got here by cancer? A few voices would say, me. How many of you got here by auto accidents? Me. How many of you died of a heart attack on an athletic field? Me. And I said, how many of you were gunned down by another human being? And half the room would raise their hands. Now, every time I show this information, people always say, well, if the number three cause of death for white males, what is the number one cause of death? And without fail, year after year, it's called unintentional injuries, accidents, falling off a four-wheeler, crashing a go-kart, or bungee jumping without paying attention to, knots and things like that. So basically, the American story is white kids are dying because they're clumsy, and black kids are dying because they're gunned down. Chicago, just like New Orleans, just like Jacksonville, just like Little Rock. How common is black murder? The past 3 years, there's been about 1,270 victims of homicide.
This isn't the one I
all the
was
way up to
looking
this
for. I
week
was
in
looking for the one where
2014.
the
Of
guy
those
was
victims,
explaining
64
the
were white.
record labels.
Now, this transcends the simple diagnosis that we have. Well, it's education, it's
But
poverty, it's
and
family
these
structure. As you
numbers
study it
are off
locally,
now
nationally, as you study it
because
decade after decade, it
of the
doesn't follow
mass
any of those
shooters.
easy answers.
Like they don't
Something much
report the
deeper
mass
and
shooters.
much
So
darker is at
this was
work.
done
How common is
in,
black murder?
let
Well,
me
in my
see,
entire life,
the number.
1973 to
This
2014,
was
there has never
2015. This
been a
was
year since I've
2015.
been breathing that blacks have not been
So
And what comes
overrepresented.
to mind for me is that it's not saying who shot the
exactly,
black
that's the
girl
point. That's the point. Because like
because
this is this. Yeah.
because from what I understand, it's painted out to be um, like the black men or the black shooting, but it's actually, yeah, they're being shot, but they're being shot by the white cops. It's like where the numbers are at.
Right.
And then, and then I came across some information, you probably already know this, that like, as, like, they're still being, I mean, I'm sure you do, but like what blew my mind was that there are still cotton farms on prisons. Um, and I have that date pulled up. And then where the cause of the reparations, is for slavery is that it's imprisonment. And
Mm-hmm.
then they're sent back out picking cotton and then finding out that like money is made of cotton. And that just it like even this right here that we're talking about, like I saved these links on my phone because it's it's literally the law. Like I have the pictures of the law written, in the cursive form. Not just picked up, but in the cursive form of the original um, clause of that, and then pictures of them at at these prisons, and then like I'm explaining it to my sister because she's half black and she lives in Texas now, and it scares me. I'm like, move, move, and she voted for Trump. Like she's a very hardcore like evangelical. She's the wife of a pastor who pastor actually looks a lot like your husband. Like he's ginger, and it was not until last week when I asked, I mean, because I tried talking to her about it before, but then I felt like it was being disrespectful and we've gotten strange, more because I was religious, but like, I finally sent her all of the stuff because I just got so scared, like, you need to get out of there, yeah, especially, I shouldn't say this, but especially like hearing, what law is it? It's not the Roe versus Wade, it's Brown.
Brown
Uh,
Brown versus board of education.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just like, okay, this is way different. This is way, way, way different. And then I kind of blew up the phone with a lot of information. And it was the very first time, and it's so she was saying it doesn't exist. And then I sent her all of these things, like what that guy is saying, and that guy said it differently than that is those, but also the articles that I was just talking about. I can send you the specific ones later.
Okay.
And then she said, "Yeah, but we don't need to. We also don't need the pendulum swinging in the opposite direction." And then I said, "See what pendulum and what direction is swinging? Do you mean the pendulum of racism is swinging and you don't want it to swing the other
Right.
way because it does exist?
Right.
Because we say more things what we don't say than what we do. And then, it's so weird how, like, the awakening and that, and that finally woke her up. And then it was like almost, like cognitive thinking. And then she started finally talking to me a little bit about some experiences that she had with racism. And it was like, she doesn't deny it. Like, so hard because I don't know. I don't know what it's like being in her shoes to be living in that and living in the feelings that we came from and the situation that she's in and he's, love him, but it's just it's so wild to me how blinded we are and it's because of I get that those numbers could be off of what he's saying.
Yeah, that was
like
2015. Let's listen to this guy because that was 2015, and I think this isn't the guy I was looking for too, and I wasn't prepared to play it. But I'm gonna find that one guy that I was talking about. But this one here, let me see. It's this one. Hold on a second. Okay, let's see what this one says because yeah, that was 2015. Okay.
Stereotypes of black and brown people depicted in hip hop music? What if I told you that some of the biggest music companies are in cahoots with private prison owners? And that the rap music we listen to is not only meant to entertain, but to verbally and visually support criminal behaviors that funnel disenfranchised people into these private prisons? Lastly, what if I told you I have proof?
So this is part of what I was
Civic,
wanting
formerly known as Corrections Corporation of America,
yeah,
the
this is
biggest
part
name
of what
in
I
the
was
private
trying to
prison
show.
industry, contacted 48 states offering to buy their prisons. One requirement of eligibility for the deal was particularly strange: an assurance by the agency partner that the agency has sufficient inmate population to maintain a minimum 90% occupancy rate over the term of the contract. Wait, right? What? What kind of legal and ethical measures could be taken to ensure the maintenance of a 90% prison occupancy rate? Now let's work together to connect these things because I'm sure you're a smart person. It won't be long. Let's do the work. In 2012, a mere 232 media executives were responsible for the intake of 277 million Americans, controlling all avenues necessary to manufacture any celebrity and spark any trend. Time Warner, as the owner of Warner Brothers Records, can not only sign an artist, but since they're also owners of Entertainment Weekly, they can also put an artist on the cover by next week. You think you choose what you listen to, but do you? Both BET and MTV belong to Viacom. Okay, now I know that's not news to some, but when the use of these media conglomerates is cross-checked with ownership of the biggest names in prison privatization, it's starting to get a little fishy. The largest holder in Core Civic, formerly Corrections Corp of America, is Vanguard Group Incorporated. Vanguard is the #1 largest holder in both Viacom and Time Warner. Vanguard is also the largest holder in the GEO Group, the second largest owner of private prisons in the US. The overlap in private prison / mass media ownership is disturbing. Let's make this clear. The people who own the media are the same people who own private prisons. The exact same people.
Yep.
They make money from getting so-and-so from the hood to glorify the life they live. They don't care about the impact it has on others because money is the motive. Then when the music influences others in criminal behavior, they make money from all the impressionable low-income people of color that are expected to go inside their private prisons. You can research these companies yourself, by the way, it's not hidden. Now, if you want to take action and stop motivated racist schemes like this from happening, we need to create a platform where the real culture of hip-hop can flourish. Hip Hop for Change has employed hundreds of people with jobs that further hip-hop activism in the Bay Area and are ready for expansion. They teach K-12 workshops that get children rapping, breaking, DJing, and doing graffiti as a means of positive, healthy self-expression. Amazingly, half of the 20,000 youth they've taught were for free. They don't turn down kids. They produce social justice events and support local artists who don't fit the corporate narrative. You can even listen to them every Sunday on Hip Hop for Change Radio on 89.5 KPOO San Francisco. They use hip hop to advocate social justice and raise funds for causes that enrich the lives of historically oppressed communities. They want to create a platform where the community can access the authentic culture of hip hop. Don't only share the video, but make a difference and reach out to them. If you're in the Bay Area, you need a job, it got you. If you don't want to be on the front line with them, you can donate here. That donation is essential to keep their movement going. So help him take the game back and empower the community with the real culture of hip hop that is rooted in peace, love, unity, and having fun. Donate today on their website and visit them at hiphopforchange.org.
Oh, God, that brother said a mouthful. Hiphopforchange.org is the web.
So that's one of the reasons why I do not listen to rap. I don't listen to any Western music.
Oh,
I don't listen to
my
any
mind
any
day
rap
is
music.
blown.
Yeah, so
I don't. I mean, yeah.
it's all deliberate. It's all deliberate. Yes. And then
My mind is blown.
your mind's going to be blown more to find out the rap artists themselves, like some of these people's faves, like Snoop Dogg, Dre, all them, Ice T, all those guys that made it big, or they perpetuate that they made it big. They are invested in those prison systems.
Oh my god. My mind is blown right now. I have no idea.
So that's why I don't listen to any of it.
Everything is just a lie. Every single thing is a lie.
Yep.
I mean, everything.
Now it makes sense why I'm so aggressively anti anything Western in my house. I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to see it. And it's easy for me. I just don't turn it on.
It does. It absolutely does. That, I mean, I'm speechless. And we've been talking for 3 hours, and then
well, yeah. So we could get ready to go now, but yeah, I basically that's what I was kind of what I was looking for too. And that wasn't the exact video, but that he basically said what I was saying, and which validated why I don't listen. That's like an explicit explanation as to why I don't listen to rap. I don't support rappers. I don't listen to anything or watch anything that was made in Hollywood or America. Nothing.
My ears are literally ringing right now because it's so.
It's heartbreaking, and we're trapped. So that's why I was like, when I was trying to get out of here to go to Japan and leave, I was just like, okay, well, this country hates me anyway, so I want to go to safety. I mean, there are a lot of people that do want to stay here. They have a reason to stay here. They want to stay here. That's their choice. I want out of this country for my sanity and my safety.
Well, I know I texted you this earlier, and I am not saying this lightly, and I'm saying it to you. Like, I can't say it to the masses. I wish I had the ability to, but I heard what is happening, and I see how shit is going down. Even as a white girl, I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever need to pick up and just go,
let's go to Alaska.
You're gonna have, no, I'm gonna be in North Carolina.
Okay. Well, that's like what, 4 hours away from me. I'm in Nashville.
Yeah, I was talking to my husband about when we're driving through.
Yeah, come see me. We could go to we'll go to the Korean restaurant and eat.
Oh my god, that would be so awesome.
We'll go to Cape Barbecue. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm serious. If it goes into flames, and hearing you talk about that news, I'm not able to stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Just call me and we will make it happen. Like,
thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too, and I love what you're doing here, and I'm honored.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being my guest, because I liked her. Although it's a BIPOC centered company, platform. I want like allies that are real allies. I want them to share their stories as to, things that we aren't aware of. I want like you sharing your stories and everything. And when I was asking you questions about how the people are thinking in your community around you, because we need to know that too. We need to know what they're thinking or where their like mindset is going.
Yeah. I think that my mind is just blown from what you were saying. But if my pops back on, let me know. I know we kind of girl chatted a lot.
Okay, yeah. Well,
So I want to hear more. I don't know. I would like to hear more of what he has to say and what he's about. So, but I'll be tuning into you. And just let me know if you need anything. And thank you. It
thank
was
you
an
so
honor being
much.
here.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Look, I'll talk to you on TikTok. We'll go on over to TikTok. I'll talk to you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
All right. Love you.
Love you too.
Yeah. Have a good night.
You too.